discussions, conspiracy-ish. We're gonna go around not the houses, through like devil worship in hip-hop. We'll discuss the sacrifices, the conspiracies around certain deaths, be they dying at 21 or otherwise. Just getting this correct up in here. You know what? Let's kick off.
Okay,
oh, this dude there, he claims he's got the cure for fucking depression. You just say some words that he's gonna give.
Stevenson, definitely
There you
raised
go.
in Miami.
Roll, yeah?
Rapping the DMX, put Young Jeezy on, put Lil Wayne on.
You were influenced by that kind of music. I try to tell people how powerful music is. Not only did I grow up
just double
listening
check
to certain
that we
kind
on.
of music and it put me in certain kind of moods and made me want to
Would
do certain
be
things. But I
important to
also
check,
did
right?
music and was in the music industry for years, so I know the impact that it has on people. People don't understand that there's spirits in this music and attached to this music, and a
I'll
lot
be
of people
honest,
get into things behind the scenes.
You don't even
that
need
they
to be
put
in the
into
industry
music.
to
And
know
it
that it
uses the
has,
music.
I'm a professional.
effects
If you
on
don't think
people as
music is
such. But
spiritual, I want you to think of these two things. Number one, isn't it amazing how it doesn't matter, like, whether you want it or not, you hear music in the background. Maybe you're at a party, maybe you're at a sporting event, maybe you're just walking through the mall. You
right?
hear some music in the background.
Why is that amazing?
All of a sudden you start moving your head. You start moving your body. You might
Oh
not even
my
like...
days. Is this guy serious? How is that amazing? He's gonna be one of those tubers where I'm just here like, what the F?
song. You might not even know what lyrics you're agreeing with by moving along with the song. But for whatever reason, if you're not
that doesn't mean
aware
you're
of what
agreeing.
you're doing, you start to begin to move and groove to the music. It's got this...
People tend to
it
do
has
that
this
with songs
power
that they like.
that goes directly to
Not
your
so
soul,
much those they don't.
and then somehow it ends up actually controlling
Alright.
your body.
How does
Like,
it go
do you
direct
ever,
to your soul?
You never stop to think about how music can actually control your body? It can control your movement. It can control areas of your life.
It seriously doesn't control your body, right, as such. Are you telling me that everyone dances just like Michael Jackson when he's on stage dancing? Does what? It controls everybody to the point where we all move our limbs the same? Don't be silly, mate.
Super interesting.
So you guys were doing like breaking and into.
One time, rest in peace with Danny Barber. What she gave me just went off in the background.
Not proud of it, but yeah.
Is it 111 for time?
I'm actually on the news trying to murder somebody. This is when my older brother passed away, and then that's when Satan began to put that trauma in my heart, and now I was fully possessed.
Music industry side, how far you went in that realm and the things you experienced in that realm. So who would you say you met first?
I was in the streets at the time, and the person that was leading the pack on his end was Triple X, XXXTentacion, Jase Onforth. They went to the same school. He's lit up, he's on fire.
He went same school as XXXTentacion, he says. Anyone back that for him? But yeah, like I was saying previously, if you look at the name even for XXXTentacion, a guy who was very into the occult and obviously knew certain things. X in numerals, that's 6. So it's 666. Tentacion is temptation, right? Man knew what his name was. Temptation, or maybe he felt tempted by the devil.
Still doing music at that time. I was more in the streets, and I just thought it was just music. I just thought, okay, maybe it's just music. It was more than music. When my older brother passed away in 2017, once that trauma hit, that took me to another level of darkness. And I'm minding at that time, I just did a show with Cardi B, Kodak.
I want you to stop.
How big is the dude? Because I don't know him. I won't bullshit. I do not know.
Time when we talk about the demonic and we talk about how the
that
devil
guy on the right, the rapper
root in
there.
people's lives, we talk about
know if
when you're
anyone
like
can vouch
openly
for him.
asking for it, right? Like you're playing with the
any
Ouija
of his
board,
story.
or you're watching horror movies, or you're trying to dabble in the occult, and it's like now you're actually inviting those spirits into your life. But what happens when you don't
what
ask
is he
for
claiming invites?
Can I just tell you movies, or you're trying to dabble in the occult, and it's like now you're actually...
Well, yes. I mean, going into the occult, if you were, like, worshipping or whatever, yeah, that would probably be inviting certain entities, but, I mean, what is the other thing man said? It just sounded a bit loose.
We talk about when you're, like, openly asking for it, right? Like, you're playing with a Ouija board, or you're watching horror movies, or you're trying to dabble in the occult.
everyone knows there's a massive difference between playing with a Ouija board and watching a horror film.
And it's like now you're actually inviting those spirits into your life. But what happens when you don't ask for it? Can I just tell you something? The Bible says that the devil is a thief who's come to kill, steal, and destroy. And thieves don't ask for permission.
At what bit in the Bible is it said that the devil's a thief? Because I've never read that part.
They don't ask for permission to take what doesn't belong to them. So what the
You
devil
what?
does is he
Alright.
prowls.
That really explains why there's pacts then, you know? It doesn't though, does it? It does the opposite. Like, there would be no need for, you know, pacts, rituals, if that were the case.
And preys on trauma. He preys on people who have traumatic events happen to them, and he uses those events as open doors to sink his teeth into, metaphorically speaking. So maybe that's going to speak to someone right now. You've gone through some serious traumatic stuff in your life, and you're wondering, like, why do I always feel like there's just this dark presence in my life where I can't kick this habit, or always like these words just fly out of my mouth that I don't want to fly out of my mouth? Could it be that there is undealt with issues that need to be resolved that happened to you when you were younger that opened the door for the devil? And here's what's crazy. The devil...
Oh my lord, didn't you know, people, if you were abused when you were younger, apparently that was your fault and it opened a door, you know? Like, is this guy serious? Like, he's one of them
We'll tell you, the
that,
devil
you know,
will whisper in your ear. He will accuse you and make you think that you're the crazy one.
Stuff.
And then what he'll do is he'll blame God for how he made you and how God's doing it to you. The devil doesn't play fair. I want you to take inventory. Ask God, even ask God in this moment, God, what are some things in my life that are undealt with, that were open doors for the devil to have influence in my life? Let's keep listening.
Right, everybody, because the devil apparently speaks to you, and then you talk to God, and then apparently God will speak to you and tell you what has opened the door or whatever. Like, come on.
Young boy, this is called Trap Circus 2017. At that time, it was like, I was in, we went to this house. It was hell in that house. The open portal of hell in that house. I mean, they're doing drugs. Like, the music is like we're all manifesting in there all together. We're all doing it. And that spirit came to me. He imparted me his vision and his goal that he wanted to bring forth. And,
does anyone know the rapper?
That's the image that he's
this one knows saying he sold his soul and that he went to the same school as X and
that he wanted to push. Now,
other stuff.
He has a Mark II, and his agenda is to turn you away and to twist you into something that was never meant to be. I'm not looking at the demise. I'm not looking at the downfall. I'm not looking at the people that I'm going to influence to represent Satan and ultimately send those people to hell. The demons are going to be coming out of them. This isn't a rock show. No, this is a church. The music that we're playing is the worship. When we're moshing, we're opening up a portal.
That reminds me.
What did he just say?
Well, it's not exactly that revolutionary.
That's what's so funny to me.
But, you know.
Here's what's interesting. You have a lot of people who complain
One
about...
thing though, you look at when them people died at, was it Travis Scott concert? It was like an open portal door. There was a lot of symbolism there, and it wasn't.
Church looking too much like a concert. And can people be guilty of that?
How do churches look like
Sometimes
concerts?
churches get out of hand, and they become all about the energy.
Is he serious? Churches looking like concerts? Does he mean like... You know what you see in movies, the idea that loads of people will be up singing and almost partying in a church. I mean, most churches, at least in the UK, no one actually really does that.
Entertainment and the production. By the way, I love good production. Like, I'm not going to have a banging YouTube channel without good production. So production matters in a lot of ways. But, you know, some people can get carried away and make it all about the lights and the smoke and all that.
I think it's getting carried away to say channel bangs.
However, the devil only counterfeits what's truly God's. The devil only takes what belongs to God and uses it for his own purposes. So isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that this guy is saying right here that these shows that they were doing, they were quote unquote doing church. They were doing church. This was
is that
not
interesting?
just a concert. This was a ritual. How many people do you know who don't believe in God, who don't participate in the things of God, who are not filled with the Holy Spirit, who don't go
Right, and what you're gonna say because they go gigs, what?
to church, who go to concerts and say, "This is my religion." I mean, I couldn't tell you how many
Not that
people
many.
I've talked to, especially in
In
college,
fact, none.
who said, "No, this is my religion. These are my people. This is a spiritual experience for me."
Do you remember
They're
people
100%
trying to
right.
push
It is a
the
spiritual experience.
music is
But
my
what spirit
religion
are
thing?
they connecting with? What spirit are they opening themselves up to? When you are in worship in a Holy Spirit-filled church, heaven absolutely touches earth. There's a moment where you like. And let me know in the
Like I was
comments if
saying
you ever
earlier, right?
experienced that. When
UK,
you're
right?
in church, worshiping God.
You want to go to churches in the UK? They've all got the checkerboard floor. What else has it? Masonic halls, Masonic lodges, right? On top of that, the local church that used to be used for Masonic meetings, Masonic gatherings. You know, just food for thought there.
God, and you've had an encounter with God. Like you are supposed to have an encounter with God, a manifesting encounter with the King of Kings. That's what worship's about. It's about connecting with God and receiving Him and having that intimate connection with Him. Now, if that can happen in a holy setting, can the opposite also happen in an unholy setting? Can you open up a
You
quote
know,
unquote?
it's interesting how I've just pointed out the Masons using the local church. I think it was like 80 years ago, but still. So
Portal
the
to
answer,
the demonic? To me, it's
you know,
it's undeniably clear that it's
You have the
possible.
Travis Scott
course
show
it's
where they were
possible,
doing the mosh
isn't
pit
it?
and all
But,
those people
like-
ended up dying. And there was a kid who even died. He had all type of imagery.
Remember that?
Had like portals.
His
A
mouth.
man going through a portal and becoming red.
Imagery
like a demon, like
is
his
key
face as a
in,
back,
you
like,
know, the
leading
occult
up
world.
to that show. And then that stuff ended up happening and people were saying that it
Right,
was
look at it
demons.
like this as well. If you took a blood oath, right? The only way you can really communicate is sign language. Like, if you're doing music, you can't talk, can you? You can hint.
Sacrifice.
Yes.
It was like a ritual.
Every concert's a ritual. I had people drawing pentagrams in my concerts on the floor. Image, the beast that was in me, I was sowing into them, but you can definitely open your soul to some things.
It's like a church service, but for the dark side. And all these entities are just starting to grab hold of people.
Like a
It's
mass.
really deep, you know. People need to understand
like-
this stuff is all spiritual. And the
we've-
spiritual realm is very
we've
real.
been,
But if
you
there's
know,
a dark
to
side,
a,
guess what? There's also a light side.
concert, a
You
gig
ended
before,
up
and
being pulled out of that darkness.
And then I went and I prayed to
often
the Lord. I
enough
said,
it
Lord,
looks
you know,
like
if you're gonna
worship.
show
But
me. I'm seeing it now. My eyes are fully open. All those demons were literally.
So is
like,
this
they had
dude the
chains
rapper
on.
then?
We were in a covenant.
Or are they
Like, we were in a blood
both?
covenant. I was dying.
both ones on the left, rappers
That's what's
as well.
up. We are in a blood covenant. I want to share the scripture with you. This is important because as much as we want to expose what the devil's doing, we got to also remember that you and I, if you believe in Jesus, you have the upper hand. The Bible says in 1 John 4:4, you are of God, little children, and have overcome them because he who is in you is
Alright,
greater than he who's in the world. And he's talking specifically about the Antichrist spirit. So, here's what I want to leave with this. Number one, do not underestimate what the devil will do in order to get a foothold, a stronghold in your life. He will use whatever means necessary. He will use traumatic events, but he's also going to use your ignorance against you. He's going to use your mindlessness, your sleepwalking through life, just consuming
For
whatever
the
content
record,
you
it's
want to
not in the
consume,
Bible
hanging
what
out
he
with
just
whoever
said
you wanna
about
hang
do
out
not
with, watching
underestimate
whatever you wanna
what the
watch,
devil will
listening to
do.
whatever you want to listen to. He will use that against you to program you to begin thinking the way that he wants you to think about the world. The devil wants to
Arguably, this dude is programming you to think a certain way.
indoctrinate you into his system. That's the main reason why he infiltrates content. And when he does that, what does that do? It absolutely opens up a door.
I think this bro thinks that he's, you know, of that kind of power, opening up doors,
The
portals.
demonic, to have demonic influence in your life. For a lot of people listening right now, you know you got crazy stuff going on. Like
Oh,
depression, it's not normal. Anxiety,
what is he on? Depression and anxiety apparently are not normal. And apparently, he said at the beginning that he can cure them, you know? He'll give you a certain verse or something to read and you'll be cured. He is full of absolute BS. Can't we agree?
It's not normal. Sleep paralysis, it's not normal. Demonic dreaming and daydreaming, it's not normal. It's not
Oh,
normal. Stop
Lord.
letting people tell you that it's normal. Oh, we all kind of deal with that. No, you can be free from that sort of stuff. But
It's a shame this idiot can't explain why those things aren't normal, isn't it?
you need to shut the door to all of that demonic influence in your life, and you need to make a decision. You need to make a decision to take spiritual warfare seriously. The Bible says that there are two kingdoms at war right now, the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. And whether you like it or not, you are in the middle of that fight. And if you haven't given your life to Jesus, you are technically a prisoner of war of the kingdom of darkness. However,
Bro,
all of that can change. Just
Really?
like this young man over here was saying how he called out to Jesus. He made a declaration to Jesus. He said, God, if you're real, show yourself to me. I'm telling you. It doesn't matter what you've done.
alright.
It doesn't matter what you've walked through. It doesn't matter what you've partnered
I'm not
with.
sure who he is
You
to
can be
preach.
set free from all that sort of stuff. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, paid a high price on a cross 2,000 years ago to completely make a spectacle of the devil and to set you free. When you
Malachi, there is no point in the Bible where it was said that Jesus died to make a quote-unquote spectacle of the devil.
given your life to Jesus, you recognize, man, the devil's got very limited authority, and technically he has no authority over you and over me if we are covered in the blood of Jesus, if we are filled with the power of
Okay, everyone, get a time machine. You need to be covered in the blood of Jesus.
the Holy
Apparently.
Spirit. The devil is underneath our feet and not the other way around. But the Bible says that God's people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Your lack of knowledge about who Jesus is,
I thought the Bible said that Adam and Eve, you know, took a bite from what? The tree of knowledge, the forbidden tree, and sort of condemned us all.
what he did for you, and what it looks like to stay free, the price you need to pay personally to stay free by walking in holiness, the devil's going to have a heyday in your life. But
There's
all of
a
that can
price
change
now on being
with repentance.
spiritual free.
Coming out, getting out of the director's chair of your life, and giving your life to God, saying, God, I want you to be the director of my life. I
What's
want to
with
surrender
this
to you. I want to
sticking
be your
his
servant. I
hat
want to
on
be
and off?
forgiven of my sin. I want to walk in the power that you reserve for me to walk in. And I'm telling you, the Bible says that the things that you can do, nothing is impossible for you when you are walking in right standing with God. The devil can't hold a candle to you. But are you right with God? The question is,
This guy
do you have a right
is
standing
holding his
relationship with
Bible,
him? If you're not sure, I
showing
have another
it,
video at the end of
right?
this one I want you to watch. Go watch that video
I don't
to
think
make
he's
sure
ever read it.
that you are in right standing relationship with God and you're not playing knowingly or unknowingly on the devil's team.
Thoughts, people, comments,
So let
guys?
me tell you, the devil's team is the losing team. I have another thing I want you to check out too, is my Bible studies. If you want to learn how to live a spirit-filled life.
Right, am I the only one who just instinctually thinks this guy's a con artist? He ain't for real, he ain't about his religion.
That you can overcome the works of the devil
And this is
and
done for
fulfill your
business,
calling
you
to
know?
flip culture upside down. Go watch that playlist.
This is literally done for business, I'm telling you. It's you know, when you are like spiritually righteous or whatever, I mean, come on. This video is not had 474,775 views. It hasn't. This BS. 2,000 comments, 2.4k, and 15k likes. Yeah. Very funny, but ain't the ratio between the views and the likes a bit crap? 1.38 million subscribers, and you're telling me that half of them watch this video? Yeah. If you're right with, whatever it is above us, higher power, God, Allah, whatever it be, I feel like, your insight and intuition are more on point than when you're in a bad place. But at the same time, I'm not going to preach. This is my personal opinion, So, switching on and up. This guy, we was going to go there make
You can also do
the guy who made a
challenge,
deal
so
with
£1.1,
the devil.
£2.2.
What's with all of these guys online, like doing their own ministry or thinking that
what we
they're,
have to share with you.
you know?
Thanks for staying tuned.
Do you know a weird thing? A lot of these guys saying they're Christian, that they're holier than thou and religious, are literally just saying it for views, money. They think there's loads of YouTube money they're gonna get. Like, and some of them are initiated Masons,
Here we go.
arguably.
Welcome to this episode
as
of Revelations from Heaven. My guest
some of them
today,
literally
Pastor
Masonic
Laron
handshakes
Bledsoe.
on screen, and
He was a convicted felon at the age of 13.
okay,
He was a gangster rap artist,
okay,
and that opened the doors to the demonic realm.
yeah, we're gonna go
And then
into
he made a deal with
celebrities,
the devil.
because something tells me the rapper
We'll
we're
find
gonna
out what
see
that deal
probably ain't
is
famous.
that he made and how he broke that deal, which
Okay,
released
of
the
course.
terror of the demons upon him. Today, he has a deliverance ministry. He is the pastor of a church
probably
called
got a
the Church of
YouTube, has he?
Ecclesia. He has authored books and will mention
Okay,
those
he's making money from books.
as well. Those will be in the text of this interview. And Pastor Laron, it is great to have you with us today.
Great to be here, Randy. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All
to
right,
be on the show
okay. His deal with the devil can't have been very good, right? Because who knows this rapper?
today.
Well, it's great.
Chuck, get down to business.
And
Because we
at that
wanna
particular
roll through
time in
quick.
my family, it was just me, my mom, and my dad, and my older
I'm
brother.
not interested in your life story.
And for those 2 years, from 13 to 15, I was placed in a juvenile delinquency
Yeah,
facility.
lots of people been jailed. My man, please.
Always listen to rap music, but I was locked up with a few guys who were rap artists, and I began to develop an interest. I had always liked writing and writing poetry,
cool.
so that was kind of right up my alley. So I developed an interest, and I began to write lyrics. When I was in the juvenile facility, I had a lot of time on my hands, obviously. And when I got out of that place, at the age of 15, I continued to pursue that as a career.
Right.
And there was a
What of
particular
it?
group that I was really fond of that came out.
I'm
around
gonna be
the
a bit
time I was
harsh with him,
15,
you know?
16.
So he made a
And,
deal with the devil.
They
To the
were very
viewers
well
just
known.
joined
They
us.
were platinum selling artists. And I did a study up on them and found
I'm
that
thinking
they
his deal
made
was
a
crap. I
deal
don't know who he is.
with the devil through a Ouija board. As a matter of fact, they had a song called Mr. Ouija, where they would promote, promote
Right.
the young people to play around with these Ouija boards. And so
Well,
I decided that, hey,
Look
if
at
this is the way
B12's
out,
Devil's Night album.
I'm
That
at that
kind of
time, I'm in
promotes a
extreme
lot of
poverty.
bad stuff.
Then I want
If-
to do the same thing.
If you want to
So,
say whatever's.
Got myself a Ouija board from a friend who
There's
had one, because back then, Randy, there were actually commercials on television advertising
This
Ouija
is
boards
true.
like they were toys.
The black magic,
And,
whatever you want to call it,
Friend of
things,
mine's had
associated
one,
things,
and
and
I
occult
began
things
to
were
play with that
promoted
thing, and I
on
would
TV.
I would go into darkness, and I would just speak into the atmosphere, and I would tell the
It's
devil,
not really like
hey,
a just back then
what
thing,
you
really,
do
is
for
it?
them, I want you to do the same thing for me.
It's not
I
exactly
give
banned
you
from
my soul.
TV
You
now.
can have it in exchange for to give me the fame and give me the fortune and all that comes along with it.
Fame and
So,
fortune. Does anyone know who he is? Comment section. Because so far we ain't known any of these guys who say they made a deal with the
So I
devil and got
continued to
big.
do that. By this time, I'm on drugs and alcohol. I'm 15.
And ironically,
and
they
I'm
made a
addicted
deal
to
for fame.
nicotine. I'm addicted to marijuana. I'm addicted to alcohol.
Marijuana addiction, I mean,
I'm staying out
psychological
all
addiction,
night.
I guess,
15
possibly.
years
But
old, you should be at home doing homework, getting ready for the bed.
at
Staying
what
out all
age?
night, getting a little bit into selling drugs.
Your mom and dad
And
or
by
your
the time
guardian
16
should have
came, I
been
had my first child,
more on point. But
obviously.
why is it
so
obvious that you had your first kid?
one particular day, I continued to go into darkness and make these declarations to the devil. And I can remember it just like it was yesterday. And I'm writing lyrics. I'm writing
Thank you for
lyrics.
bearing
I'm
with
trying
us,
to get
people,
into the
'cause
studio and do these various things. And one particular
Just want to check his
Thanksgiving
story.
Eve,
I don't
I left work
know him
and
as
a young lady
famous.
wanted
I don't.
to get some marijuana. So I decided I would take her to get some marijuana. I had groceries in her car.
But
and I
I'm
was supposed
curious
to bring home for my mom to finish
on his story.
Thanksgiving dinner. Well, what happened, we were riding in the car and we were smoking marijuana, and the police pulled us over because they saw us through the window and took me out the car and had me in the back of the car. And I was just standing there, just like, when is this going to be over? I got to get home. Well, while I was standing there, Satan, this spirit came into my conscience, identified itself as Satan.
God.
And it
Can
began
high power
to
God allow people to
advertise.
protect or
I'll
reveal
try to
its-
explain it the best way I can, but it's very
and
difficult.
myself
It
from
began to advertise to
bad
me
things.
a particular rap style. And it was really catchy. It was really good. And he told me who he was. He told me that he heard my prayers. Ironically, you know,
Is this
he
a
always
man
tries
or
to do
like
what God does, because what God
had he
does works.
smoked
But
too much
anyway,
marijuana or was
and
he
he said,
hallucinating
"This I'm
or
going to give you. This is, you're going to be everything you want to be. I'm going to make you rich. I'm going to
or
make you
is it
famous."
more than that?
However, the one thing that he made clear, that you cannot back out of this. You cannot run to God. You know, he was very adamant. This spirit, I mean, it was literally talking.
Okay, my
to me
man,
in
how'd you break
conscience.
free
It
then?
wasn't me thinking
That's
these thoughts.
video.
It was supernatural. It was totally supernatural. And I was standing there and I was mesmerized by what was happening. And so police ended up just kicking me out and basically forced me to walk home, and took the other young lady. It was a Caucasian young lady.
I'm not sure why I
And
noticed
so
that she
they
was white. I
later on
really
found
don't
out that they
get it.
told her they wanted to get her to safety. And they just kicked me out on the streets with my bags, and I'm a long way from home. So anyway,
Why
to
does it
God be
matter
the
that
glory, there was a cab
you
that
go
was just
away?
sitting right there on the corner of the where there was a gas station. And
Like, if
at that
bro's
time, I was
feeling
still in
like
the gang.
it's
I had
like
on
the
a bunch
police
of
took
gang,
her and not
you
him
know,
because of
the
color,
gang that I was in wore a
I
lot
think
of
your
red. I had a
gender
lot of
probably
red
comes
clothes
into
on.
it.
And I was in an area
You
that
know,
was of an opposing gang.
you being a young man
And
and,
I was
you know,
getting really scared because there were a group of guys who were circling, who were watching me, and I knew that they were probably going to do something to me.
okay.
And I just so
Did they
happened
do
to see
something?
there was a cab sitting there, and I know it was nothing but God. As I look back,
Really?
look back now, and he said, "Well, you got to pay me up front." But anyway, so I paid him up front. He took me home, and that next day I woke up trying to sing or to
So
rap
God
those
was in a
lyrics that Satan
taxi?
had advertised to me, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And so
I do
went
get
and got
kind
some
of angry
marijuana,
with these
tried to
guys
get high,
who
thinking that would do it, and it didn't happen.
make
I
stories up
could
like
not sing those
this
lyrics. They were so
to try and sell
mesmerizing, and
books,
so I don't
you know,
even
for
know
money.
the right words to say it, but you could tell this was not of this world. And so about a month later, when I wasn't even thinking about it, and I was smoking marijuana with some friends of mine, Satan came back into my conscience. He advertised those lyrics to me again. He reaffirmed our deal and made it clear again that you are not to back out of this. So this is what I began to deal with, and he began to enhance my lyrical ability.
Comment
I would
section,
be
what are
able
your
to
thoughts?
rap songs without
I
writing.
can rap songs.
You know, this is really,
Does
really
that mean
supernatural stuff.
that I've
There's an
sold my
artist right
soul
now
or
that
something?
says he doesn't rap. He doesn't write his
I don't.
lyrics, and he's a platinum-selling artist, and I believe him. Because he's used
Which
as a
artist?
medium for these demonic powers and these demonic
Brother.
spirits to speak through,
I like,
to speak to this young generation.
is my man serious? Like, I can spit off the dome, rhyme off the top, whatever you want drops, just give me a word, give me a verb, I'll twist it up. You know, it's not that difficult to rap like that, at least not for moi. Huh? You know, half these ones want to sell out over, do this XYZ, sell out for over a menage a trois. You know, it's just piss easy.
And to keep them in a state of
For
sin,
me.
keep them in a state
But
of
I
darkness.
ain't
But
sold my
anyway,
soul.
so
Well,
I
that's
pray.
if we can kind of if I can ask you the question, because this is something that is endemic within
And that is not a good
especially
vocal
the
delivery
youth
or flow, and
community
it
or
was never
young
supposed to
people.
be a yo, so
And rap
no beat in the
music
track and yada yada. You
talks
don't want me to
about
rhyme words like
attacking
this.
women.
Yes.
It talks about, killing people, all
That's
kinds
correct.
of things. So you're talking about an inspiration that was from the devil or demons
You know, we can
themselves.
go in the
But
words, you know, like inspire, right? Arguably means in spirit. To, you know,
Your
break
particular
down
case,
words, but
you made a contract with the devil, but this is like a gangster contract that
Yeah.
you were entering into. It's like you can't leave, or else this happens or whatever. And that's a contract that you have. And you knew at that time that this was when you were making this contract that this was Satan himself, because he's not omnipresent.
Yeah.
But this was the leader of the demonic.
Yeah, well, at least that's the spirit when it introduced itself. It introduced itself as Satan. I'm Satan, and I knew that this was not natural. I had background in church. I had family in church. I knew who God was, but I was so desperate to escape poverty, and I was willing to turn a blind eye to the truth that I knew about God. And the family that I had that were in church.
look, why don't you name what rapper
got
he
saved and were in
feels is
church,
just
but I was desperate. So I
freestyling
decided to
his
ignore all of that
albums?
in pursuit
know?
of this deal. And when I
I
realized
feel
that
like show y'all. I don't take music serious, not doing it myself, but I could show you a couple.
that's when it
old
began
tracks.
to get real for me.
They're a one
You know, when that after that Thanksgiving Eve
off the
night,
dome.
when that demonic spirit manifested itself in my conscious and the physical, because I'm been used to dealing with these demonic presence in my sleep, kind of in the metaphysical world, the spirit world, but I've never had a dealing with them in a physical manifestation in the physical world. And this is exactly what this was. So I was kind of excited, because what I did worked in a sense. So so he would tell me the lyrics to write, and next thing you know, I'm going to studios, I'm making CDs.
But bro, you can make a choice to rap about dark stuff.
I'm able to, rap without without writing any.
BS, I'm calling him out. Why don't he drop a bar right now? If he can't, let's declare almost everything he said right here and both there as SHIT. Because believe me, if you can rap off the dome, you can do it any time, even when you're not, on it at all. It's just a rhyme. Bust the rhyme. You get me though. Anyway, let's see if he bothers. Something tells me this guy ain't gonna say nothing.
Thing down and without missing a beat. I mean, just letting it pour through his demonic power. He had gave me the power to be able to spew these lyrics without missing a beat. So, just to tell you how amazing God is, one particular night I get home and I couldn't sleep, Randy. I was living with my mom at that time. My mom and my dad. He was still on drugs, but my mom was the strength of the house. She had actually got saved, and so she was the strength of the house. But anyway, I woke up 5 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. So when you wake up at 5 in the morning, you just turn on the TV. I couldn't rest. So I turned on the television. There was a cartoon. And in this cartoon, there was a young boy who was not popular at school. He was walking home, and he meets this jack-o'-lantern head guy, which was the devil, on his walk home. And the jack-o'-lantern head guy, which was Mr. Pumpkin, that's what his name was. He had an evil face like a jack-o'-lantern. And he told the boy, "You're not popular, but all you got to do is take this electric guitar and go to school and play it, and I'll make you as popular as you want to be." And of course, the young boy was desperate, so he jumped right on it. He took the electric guitar to school, he played it, he became popular overnight. So what the devil would do was every time he did Satan's bidding, he would get a better guitar than what he had before. The end result, he was a rock and roll star, he was rich, he was famous, and he never said anything, just played this electric guitar. He was on stage, and he was playing this electric guitar, and all of a sudden that demon, Mr. Pumpkin, appeared, and all the people in the audience began to turn into these jack-o'-lantern head-looking things. And the boy felt sorrowful because he realized at that moment he was merely used by this demonic spirit
vessel, but not
to deceive all of these people. However, it's too late. And I actually found that cartoon years later. I was so relentless in trying to find it. It's obviously no longer on the
But
air.
I believe you're making up a story
And I
to sell
found
another
it was
biography.
called Ultra Force.
One that is fake.
And
But,
I even showed it to my kids to show
borderline
them how
gory,
God
or
broke
at
the
least supposed
contract
to be.
over my
But
life
it ain't
using a
scaring me.
cartoon. He is so amazing.
Freestyle. If you can freestyle, apparently you got no soul.
And I knew
And
that
is
this was
you
God.
know,
I can feel God's presence even now. It almost brings tears to my eyes. His love, man.
man, I'm saying I got a demon
So
speaking through
I
me.
was like, oh man, I know this is God ministering to me through a cartoon. So I continued to still pursue what I was pursuing, but now I'm a little apprehensive, about what's going on. And like going back to what I said about the Ouija board, all the times I messed with it, nothing happened. One particular day I came home and asked it how long would it take before I become, rich and famous.
Shall we put this out on the
Randy, I'm
X
here to tell you,
platform,
man, I
on
have no
Realize
reason
Bars
to
X?
lie. Everything I'm saying is nothing but
Twitter?
true. As I was sitting there and I had my hands on that thing,
Comment section, do you think if you can
stomach,
freestyle off the top,
and when I felt that
that you've sold your soul and you have a demon speaking through you?
board that I had my hands on began to move on its own.
I mean, wait, it was... Because apparently I've got a demon and no soul, because
I didn't really expect that to happen.
I can rhyme words.
So much so that I knocked it off my lap. I ran outside. I destroyed it. Because I said, okay, I've opened...
Like, this guy
opened up to some
for
real
the
stuff
new
here,
viewers,
and I began to get scared. Because I knew about hell.
he's saying that
God, and I knew about hell.
he sold his soul, and all of a sudden he could freestyle off the dome,
encounter with this cartoon. So now I'm starting to feel more
and
convicted.
that it was a demon speaking through him,
We always had Bibles
and
at
the
home.
lyrics would just,
I picked up the
come
Bible
out.
one night, and everyone always told me, when you read the Bible, never
The thing is,
start
this
with the book
guy,
of
he ain't even
Revelations.
proved it to
That's
us that he
exactly
could
what made me
offhand
start
rhyme
with
like
the
that.
book of
Not
Revelation.
once.
Started with the book of Revelation.
I rhyme some words just to show y'all I can do that,
And one
but
thing that
he
stood
ain't.
out to me was the verse of scripture that said, and those whose names were not found written in the Lamb's book of life were cast in the lake of fire where Satan and the false prophet shall be. And immediately I got convicted. And I put the Bible down and I cried out to hallelujah.
What,
Thank you, Jesus.
so you're condemned to hell if your name ain't in what biblical text? Like, that actually seems pretty damn savage to me. Really, it does.
I cried out to God in that room, and the fact that he...
So, bro sold his soul for fame, but none of us in the comments know him.
Poverty-stricken town.
I'm thinking his deal with the devil might have been a bit,
And so he heard me,
didn't
and
get
I
what
literally heard the voice of God say,
right?
take those lyrics, because I had a folder of all my lyrics. He said, burn them. He said, take them and burn them.
You just said you rap off the top. What, so you wrote every word down after you spat it, right? Is that what you're saying? Because that's a possibility. But burn your lyrics. Bruh, your lyrics are in your brain, ain't they? If you spit off the top, off the dome. Like, come on.
So, it's late at night. It's like 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
What do you not think on that, there?
Right in the front yard and lit them on fire. Wow. And as the fire is burning, tears are streaming down my face because this was my life. This was my meal ticket. This was my way out.
This could have made you rich.
This could have made me rich.
Wow.
Exactly.
You can tell from his body language, that little smile, he ain't buying that. He don't even believe in his own story.
I felt the presence of love, like an angel that was protecting me, but I also felt a steaming hate.
We're going to jump onto the celebs,
because
you know?
I remember the Spirit told me, there's no backing out.
This guy, man...
And here I am, backing out.
He's,
you know... So, Randy, the repercussions...
I don't believe it. I don't believe a word he's saying.
I mean, immediately Satan came after me.
That
the very next day, I woke up to a friend of mine knocking at my front door.
I don't believe he can rhyme off the dome.
Saying, hey, man, I've got drugs, I've got this, and he never really had... drugs.
I think too many motherfuckers,
but this particular day,
are saying these things to try to sell a book. Like, I wouldn't buy the guy's book.
So I'm still not.
I'd regret it if I bought it. Because even his story, it's so, I don't know, almost cliche.
My life to Christ yet.
Well,
so
it is
kind
of cliche.
And we're smoking weed, me, him, and another guy, and I'm in the back seat, and all of a sudden, these demon spirits began to enter my body.
Needless to
I
say,
could
I'm
feel
just
them.
not hearing what dude's saying.
And
So
when they
we are
entered
gonna
my
actually
body,
go
there was
discuss
rap music playing on the radio. I was able to hear in the spirit. I could
something
literally
else
see
in
the
a second.
demons who were in this particular rap artist.
We rolling reason on
And
here.
this demon was using this man as a medium to convey this dark message. And one thing about rap music, there's a part of the song called a hook, Randy.
Yes, it's a
The
hook.
hook is the part of the song
Catchy
that
chorus.
is repetitious, and it hooks into your conscious.
Mm,
And I had
the
struggled when
whole
I did
thing
get saved.
is
I would be
supposed
at
to,
church, sometimes those hooks, which is, I used to have to call on the name of Jesus just to get them in my head. I couldn't even, I've heard stories of the other young men
Yeah,
coming
do this
from my
proper
background who
cliche.
were on the altar trying to pray, and all they could hear was this rap music. So I'm freaking out, and I tell them, I said, hey, I need to go home.
He should be
And
used to
they're kind of
hooks
upset
coming
with
in
me.
his head. I
Like,
thought he was like
you
off
guys
the
playing
dome
no
off the top
drugs.
rapper.
What do you
Enough
mean
said,
you need
you
to go
know.
home? I'm freaking out back here because I don't know what the heck I'm experiencing. I can't really
Big
say what
love
I'm
whoever hit
experiencing.
up that like.
They said, okay, we'll take you home. And as soon as I got out of the car, this evil's presence was on me, and it was breathing in my conscience.
We'll go into
was
celebrity
everywhere.
talk and talk on
So there's
the
nowhere
death
to
of
hide.
XXX
this is
Tentacion
happening, and
in a
it's
few minutes.
manifesting in the physical. So I went in the house and I sat down on the couch, and as it's breathing in my head, angrily, it has its hand on my heart. And I paused here to say, I know that, people who never experienced stuff like this sometimes have a hard time, but I'll just try to explain it the best way I know how.
Well, and that's true, Pastor Laurent.
Yeah.
That people have a hard time comprehending that.
Well,
Yeah.
people
And I'm
have
gonna
a hard
ask you a
time
question now
comprehending
in terms of how you
quite a few
identified
things
or
that they
how
ain't
it
experienced.
felt. Just if you could
You know?
kind of give us, was it a physical feeling? Was it just I know that I know type of feeling?
Were you anxious?
How did you
What was the
know
deal?
when this was going on? And the impression we know kind of
Chop
like,
chop though,
have a
because we
sense
want to
of
go into
things, but
XXX.
was there something physical
Tentacion's
correlating
boxing
with
it,
head
the whole
knowledge
thing, man.
and spiritual
Choppy
knowledge?
chop.
How was that?
So I could hear, number one,
Thank you, audience,
I
for
was
bearing with us.
conscious, and I could
You
hear
are
the
appreciated.
breathing of this demonic being. So that's one thing.
You
Second
look
thing,
how
I
he
could
looks
feel
up.
the
He's
pain
thinking, trying to, almost
as he was squeezing my heart. I
think
didn't
what to
know
say next. It seems
that demons had this
He
kind of
keeps
power. But
thinking,
see,
like-
the thing about it, I had opened the door.
like he's making
So
ear sharp or
I
something.
felt the physical pain of the squeezing of my heart. I can't explain how this thing did it. And then it began
Bear in mind,
to
he sells
chasten
books.
me. Remember the night before I burned those lyrics.
Yeah,
the
he
revenge
rhymes
for
off the
that,
dome,
it
but
came
he had
speeding.
all his lyrics written down, but
And
because
this
God
thing
told him
spoke
to.
out in my conscience. And it called me out of my name, in the form of a lyric. And again, it identified
Hanging
itself
in a
as
bar,
Satan.
right?
And it said, you are a B to the game, and that's an effing shame. Everybody in hell is going to know your name.
Interesting place for a man to shove an ad, no? I think that putting an advert there is like some weird ass tactical move by the so-called
So-
pastor,
As this is going on,
Christian,
and I can
these two
literally
are
hear
both
this
saying they're
clearly
Christians.
with divine clarity, I began to just think. And see, this is where a lot of time I used to hear saints say, oh, the devil can't read your thoughts. I beg to differ. I realized that day that he does have the
Well,
ability to
bro,
read your
you
thoughts.
said that
Because all
he
I
was
did in
giving
my
you
mind was
thoughts,
think the
giving
name
you
of Jesus.
lyrics and that you could spit off the
I said,
top all of a
Jesus.
sudden.
Like right now, even for the people
Yeah.
that are watching, if you just scream to the top of your lungs,
It's
in your
strange though
mind,
because he
you can
feels
hear
like
that, right?
he feels like a rapper who can spit off the dome, and he wouldn't say what rappers. A rapper who spits everything off the top, does their albums without writing a word. He feels that's a demon, right? But I can rhyme off the dome constantly. I don't want to do it again. I could, but it might annoy people, you know. So, like what? Do I have no soul and a demon coming through me that I can't control? Is it above me? Should everybody trust me? Like, I haven't sold my soul.
But it's spiritual because it's not audible. No one else can hear it. You know, so I just use that as an
Yeah,
example.
but no one else can
So
hear
I
your
said,
thoughts,
Jesus
you know?
in my mind. And when I called on Jesus, Randy, this
Y'all
thing
can't hear the
got
rhyme in my head
so
before I say
angry
it,
and
before I spray it, before I lay it. You know
yelled
what I
at
mean?
me. If I could describe how it sounded like the voice of a lion's roar mixed with like an elephant when they make the noise. It was not of this world. And it yelled at me like, ah! Like, don't you dare call that name.
So this was something
My
that you
brain
were
is stuck
hearing
with
at
rhyme
this
after
point.
rhyme coming through
This
it
was
right now.
something that I was hearing at this point
Honestly.
in my conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I got lyrics
And
constant in my
it told,
conscious,
you know,
thanks
it
to
kept
you.
trying to keep me from calling on the name of Jesus. And when I did call his name, it came back even after it would yell at me to stop. It picked right back up into antagonizing me in the form of that lyric. It would get louder. It would get more intense.
Yeah, oh
And every
shit, we're
time I
supposed to
said
be going on
Jesus,
to
the
XXX
same thing
Tentacion.
happened.
Let's go on
I
to
mean,
him.
I was contemplating
on
suicide
that?
at that point.
Because look,
So,
we're going on to
'cause I'm like,
XXX Tentacion, that's it. Because
I can't
I
tell
think
anyone.
maybe
and I
some of
forgot to
them
say
viewers
that
were
was
staying
another
locked
part of the
in
deal,
for that,
is
you
that
know?
you cannot tell anyone who I
So we're going straight on to it, right?
so
No
I
questions.
can't explain this to anyone. I feel ashamed that I
Right,
even
we go
done
to the
it,
court, right? And his, I
so the only
swear
thing that
man
kept me from
presented as his uncle
harming myself
in
was
that
I
courtroom,
knew
right? Because that dude there, he's basically saying I got rhymes and could spit off the dome because what a demon's in me that I can't control was apparently even master soul my soul but didn't. So, you know, anyway. Okay, let's read what
I swear the
is
testimony
this.
you're about to give in the case
Alright,
of
this
you
is
shall give
X's
the truth, the whole
manager.
truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Go on,
Sure,
then,
no
let's
doubt,
quick
state your
time
full
here.
please spell your
Manager of Jose On.
To give today,
You know what? There's always been, like, a lot of people said something sketchy as hell about this guy, the manager. And I'll show you an interview and explain why certain people think that after, yeah?
Question and answer, correct?
Correct.
And it is on behalf of who?
It's
Besides
on
yourself.
behalf of myself, Cleopatra Bernard, Aiden Kerr, and the entire family.
Okay, and Miss Bernard, all
Bro
these people
speaking
are
on
present.
behalf of all of them?
Miss Bernard is the mother of the victim.
Yes.
Aiden is the brother of the victim.
Correct.
And who was the third person?
Well, our whole family, our whole
The
family.
whole family.
Like, we went hardcore into this and exposed, and, like, the audience, y'all had theories that Drake
And so
murdered
see who's
X
present,
the other
okay?
night.
All right.
The only reason that video ain't up right now is because of, well, a song by Drake and Travis Scott and things that were said.
On June 18th,
Visuals as well. I guess we
family,
pointed out too much
we
real
received
shit.
the worst call a family can receive. A call that informed us that our loved one was taken from us. Taken is a passive way to put it, because our loved one, Jose Onfroy, was senselessly murdered. Jose was a son, he was a brother, he was a
So
friend,
it's a statement. Okay,
a
one
nephew,
time for
a father,
Jose.
and an artist. He was a beam of hope for all that knew him
Alright, we're
and all that
throwing
knew his music.
out to X
But
Twitter.
Jose's life
See if
was
we
not
can
only
bring
robbed
in
from
thousands
us
of
and his
people like
family,
we did the other night.
it was robbed of his extended family as well. His extended family of millions of people across the globe. And how ironic it is that someone who selflessly used his platform to save countless lives loses his
Save lives?
for no good cause. A young man's life was cut short
So
at the
X
tender age
was
of 20. A young
saving
man
lives?
well into his journey of becoming a man and leaving the world in a better place than he found it. We sat through this entire trial without seeing the defendants display an ounce of remorse for taking Jose's life. Smiling at us, blowing kisses, waving, without even
Seriously?
taking into consideration
They were doing that?
you not only killed the son, but you
Damn.
killed the father. Due to the actions of these killers, Jose will never get to meet his son, yet alone raise him. Generations of our family were affected by this senseless killing. This is a loss we will never truly recover from. We will never get to see Jose live to his full potential. We will never get to watch him grow old. We will never get to watch him be a father.
Jose was not
It's
spared
real
in his
sad
final
for
moments,
obviously
and
the
I
guy's
hope the
son
court
in
finds it
particular.
appropriate to not spare any of the lives of the defendants.
Meaning he wants the death
We
penalty
would like
for
to
him.
thank Pascal and the entire.
If I remember right, they didn't get the death penalty, but we want to go into, okay, step uncle, right? I don't know how many of y'all are up in here right now, but hopefully a lot more will come through, because I want to break down some things that are kept hidden, kept secret, okay? Bear with me. Step uncle. Previously, it was told to everyone that he was uncle, right? Did y'all know, and I might need to quick check it myself again, but this guy, the uncle, who did tell a lie, a very important lie, and if you lie once about a man's death, who says you're not lying more, you know his son is Jar's brother, so, and you know who's gonna, if you follow the money, right, who inherits? I think Jar's son, it's a good job he had a son really in that way, but a lot of money is obviously going to go to his mum, who's now with the son whose dad is sat there and was in the car with Jose. This is, if it's 100% accurate, and I can't see my team finding that out and like not having checked it thoroughly, and at the time I'm sure it was right myself, I'm sure. But yeah, so this is like stepdad and uncle at the same time, who's got a kid with his mum. You know that obviously whatever the mum, when she passes, it's going to go to the son, his son. He could have set it up. He knew where Jose was.
Have you ever watched any media regarding this case?
Just,
Anything
you
in the
know,
media, anything in the news?
we real, we raw, we talk on a lot. We're real and raw here.
So, your explanation yesterday was that you're inside, you're in the.
There's something about him
Yes, sir. Okay. At some point, you press the
that I
button,
don't like.
right? The door opens up.
There's a bad vibe from him.
Correct? Okay. You turn around and you run. You run toward the store, correct? Yes, sir.
That ain't even true.
When you run toward the store, did you run inside the store? No.
I thought he said run towards the door
Okay.
there,
And then,
but alright, might
at that
be
moment
true
is
then.
when someone tells you, don't call the police. I'm calling the police, correct? I take out my phone.
Okay, so what? Man never called cops. Man didn't quickly call the cops. He's suspicious. Realize Bars channel's TikTok, I think it's on Realize Bars, also has some videos there.
To call the cops. Okay.
Whoever just joined us didn't hear what was said previous, quick time, that, you know, my team don't get things wrong often. This guy could be not uncle, but stepdad, the father of his little brother, who will show in footage, looked at Jose in a very weird way. He didn't seem to like him, appreciate him, love him. We'll show that after, that's another thing.
The phone to call the cops. Okay. Well, I'm not going to take out my phone. When I take out my phone, someone stand, I don't know who's the person. I said, don't call the cops.
When he took out his phone, a mysterious person told him not to call the police. This motherfucker gets more sketchy and suspicious by the second.
I'm on the phone with the cops right now. Okay. And this is outside.
This is an unknown man as well.
And then, when is it that you hear the noises that you described?
Noises.
When you still have your phone in your hand, you call Clear Flash Garage, correct?
Bro, that lawyer should not even be reminding him that he's still got his phone in his hand at this time, because you're helping him with his story, you know, in a way. So right, say you're with a relative, someone, the money man of your connects, your family. He gets shot. You run off. You're clear. You can call the cops. You can call an ambulance. But a mysterious person tells you not to call. So you instead what? You don't ring them. So who's he ring? Cleo. It's XXX Tentacion's mom. Is that what he's saying?
You already heard the noise, the explosion that you referenced?
After the car clear battle.
Was it before or after you made that call?
By up here by checking the dial number, that's the time I heard the explosion of the gunshot.
Okay.
You what? He hears the gunshot after he's just pulled out the phone, people. This is what man's saying. He hears the gunshot, what, as he's just after he's typed the number to ring X's mum. Just remember how he wouldn't ring an ambulance or the police because some random person told him not to.
So you're dialing the number and you heard the shot.
So he's dialing the number and he hears the shot,
And then
the gunshot.
when you turn around to look at the vehicle, or you
This is shocking.
So I was on the phone, I was looking towards the car.
You were on the phone and looking towards the car.
I was looking towards the car.
He was looking towards the car.
Okay. And then you heard the shots, correct?
Isn't that odd? Why you stood there like not ringing cops or an ambulance, looking at the car, what, to double check Jar got shot or something, like what?
At that moment, are you now dying or in communication?
Yeah, he's suspect as fuck, you're right. Comment section.
Okay. And at that moment, when you heard the shots, that you were looking at your phone is the first time now that you're looking at the car after running away from
Is it the first time you're looking at the car? Bro, why is he even asking him to repeat that? It's quite simple. Is it the first time you look back at the car where XXX Tentacion was shot since, you know, running?
You hear the shots, you're looking at your phone, now you look up at the BMW, correct? And now that's basically the first time that you've looked at the vehicle after running away from it. Is that correct?
Do you know what? That's even more suspect. If he was behind it, right, could, you know, he's ran a little piece or whatever, could turn around and what? Give a nod to shoot. Give an order or double check that he's been shot. You know?
You asked me a couple of questions just now. Repeat what you said.
What is he on? You asked me a couple of questions just now. Repeat what you said. He really didn't ask you a couple of questions. He laid out what you've said so far with a question, mate. You know?
I understand. I'll walk you through it. I'll walk you through it.
It wasn't multiple questions.
You open up the door.
See? He's just saying, you opened up the door,
Down to run away.
you ran away
And you run away towards the building.
toward the building, but not very
When you
far.
get to the building, you don't look back. You take your phone out of your pocket, correct?
You don't look back, you just take your phone out your pocket.
Did you look back? You
Brother.
taking your phone?
Why is this man not explaining? But yeah, and then this mysterious unknown person told me not to call the police or the ambulance, and then I started dialing for Cleo, his ex's mum, and then I turn around, or no, yeah, turn around, and then I heard the gunshot. Because that's his story so far. Why is he not mentioning this unnamed, unknown, anonymous man, who may or may not exist, who told him not to call the police or ambulance?
So I run up and I was looking down there at the car.
This is bad. This is
I'm out of front when I run up the car.
suspicious.
My phone was like this.
Okay.
I run up.
He's saying he ran out, you know, his phone was like this, and then he held it a certain way. But he's not even mentioning the man he spoke to now.
I was so front. I was
He
trying to
was
get
shot to
I see
death.
someone out there. Don't call the cops. I'm on the phone with them right now. Obviously,
He sees someone out there.
So that's why that person told me, don't call the cops. I'm on the phone with them right now.
Who said, don't call the cops, I'm on the phone with him right now.
I was like this.
So he's remembered the person now.
I was still trying to see what's going on down there. While
And when you heard the explosions, did you focus on your phone?
I can't recall what I was doing at the time.
You can't even recall?
And you looked and you saw someone going in the vehicle?
So when I up there, when I was up there, the taller guy
Now that, from what I've seen of CCTV and what the team's seen, that what he's just said is a lie. Probably not the first lie. And that face, the expression that he's given, the body language, doesn't look like someone who's just told the truth. Study up on your psychology, or rather, yeah, don't do that. The subject's not that great when you're actually doing it academically, but this expression, man. Look, screenshot this because it's going in like a full thing that I'm doing because that, just the shoulders, the hunch.
And that you viewed that after you heard the explosion.
I hear the explosion while the taller guy went around the next side.
He hears
That's
that.
when I hear the explosion. When the taller guy.
Brother, how the fuck would you even know when the taller guy has gone around the other side if you've ran off at that point, mate, and you haven't looked back yet? How would you even know what happened there? How?
Go to X side. The shot no one by inside the car as I was actually looking what's going on down there while I'm up there.
Okay, so
Okay, but if you only looked at the point where the shot goes off, how the hell are you claiming that you knew when the guys run around? And you know, there was a key lie in there as well. And again, the body language and that. Let's just turn back to the big lie. That's about it.
I hear the explosion while the taller guy went around the X side.
It's actually before that, innit?
That's the time I hear the explosion. When the taller guy go to X side, the shot no one by inside the car as I was actually looking what's going on down there while I'm up there.
okay, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but now you're saying that you were looking at the BMW when you heard the explosion, as opposed to looking at your phone when you heard the explosion.
Yeah, man can't
So I was
decide
looking
which.
at the vehicle. When I see the taller guy run to the car, down to the car, the shot no one go through the door that I come up through.
And while that was happening is when you heard the explosions, correct?
I'm gonna check, I said answer.
He's suspect as fuck.
You can answer, sir.
How can you object because he's asked the question so many times? Are you stupid? The guy ain't answered it. Why? Look, it was a simple enough question. That is such a techie tactic. Imagine you're just gonna, if he's deliberately saying ask again, so that his lawyer can say, you've asked it too many times, objection, move on. What the hell is going on here?
When you're looking at a BMW and you're looking at what you just described, then going into the car, you're looking at it and you hear the explosion.
I should have went there at the car, that's the time I heard the explosion.
That's not an answer.
When they were in the car, I heard the explosion.
And you were looking at the car when you heard the explosion, correct?
I was looking down there at the car.
Okay, so you saw the shot, right? Well, we'll go back to that all-important lie, like, was it about 5 minutes in the
Cleopatra Bernard called you and told you to go to the bank. Did she make any mention of the fact that her son was going to pick up $250,000?
No, sir, I didn't know about nothing.
$250,000 now. You what? Seriously?
Did you know he was going to pick up cash at all?
I didn't know what I was going to do. Cleopatra called me.
Well, one thing we do know is he knew that X had got the cash after the bank, and also, if you knew you were driving him to the bank, or going with him rather to the bank, well, chances are that you found out in the car or prior that he's withdrawing a shitload of money. Let's be honest, the chances of that.
I didn't know what he was going to do.
He claims he didn't know. Well, you definitely knew after the bank stopped.
So, after the shots are fired, right, after you see the shots are fired and everything, do you walk back to the vehicle or do you make that call to Cleopatra Bernard?
I go to the car. I went back down there. Everybody was bedding there. And when the cops come, I go down there.
So are you the first person on the scene to walk up to the BMW?
I can't remember if I was the first person. I know I go down there when the cops.
Bruv, how does he not remember if he was the first person or not to be back at the car where X has just been shot? Wouldn't you remember something so significant? You'd know if you were if you're the only one there, for example. Come on.
You were one of the first persons, correct?
I said I can't recall if I was the first person.
Really?
I went there when the cops come, and that's the time I go down there.
At that moment, was Mr. Encore deceased?
What do you mean when you say this? Break it down.
Are you for real? You know what it is to be deceased, mate. Was he dead when you got to the car? What do you mean when you say deceased?
When you walked up to him, did you render first aid to him?
I did not touch. So, I did not.
You didn't even try to do first aid. It gets worse, people.
I just go by the car and go. While the cops are there, and then. So,
You walked up to the car, you looked while the cops were there?
the cops were there at the time.
Okay, so the first time that you walked up to the vehicle,
Oh my
the police
lord.
were there.
If the cops was there then, oh mate, wouldn't you just answer no to being the first person back there?
So, I said, when the cop, I go to them when the cops are with you. And that's the time I go down to the car.
Okay, so, since you were standing at the building with your phone in your hand, when you heard the explosions, looking at the vehicle, I'm trying to determine, and I'm trying to help the jury determine, how much time did it take for you to walk up to the vehicle to see the condition of Mr. Osborne? Would it have been minutes?
When the cops come there, I can't recall the time that I go down there when the cops come there, so.
Okay.
How you not know how long?
You were losing a significant time passed from the time that you heard the shots, standing there with your phone, to the time that you walked up to the vehicle, correct?
I don't know the time, I can't recall, I go there when the cops was there.
And sir, the gentlemen that are in the back, the security personnel, do you know their names?
Objection as to relevance, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Brother, why the hell are they not allowed to ask him if he knows the people who killed XXX Tentacion? Some things in court just don't make sense. Like the way it's wired up. So that's a relevant question, you know? It's very relevant. So...
Once the police arrived, did you walk up to the vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
Was there an individual there that was not police filming? Did you see that individual?
I don't know, I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an intriguing question, I'll tell you why, and we got footage of that, what that girl filmed, right? He's not on it, so, you know, and for some reason he doesn't know if she was there when he got to the car. It's very interesting, but, you know, honestly, this guy is so suspicious. So suspicious.
You called the individual that you testified in direct examination that was a white guy that had asked Mr. Osborne for a picture. Remember that individual?
It's a white guy who was on site there, a little white guy sitting outside.
Did you ever see him filming the BMW?
No, I don't know if he was filming. I didn't saw that.
From the time that you were looking at the vehicle that you heard the shots to the time that the police showed up, did you ever take your eyes?
You do realize this guy is gonna claim that he doesn't even remember who was there. It's so obvious. I mean, he doesn't know if he was the first one there at the car, seeing he probably, who's to say he even went there.
Off of the vehicle.
I can't remember that.
No, he can't remember again. What a surprise. What a bloody surprise.
Was it after the police arrived?
I'm not surprised if anyone's, you know, getting that one twisted or something like that.
You called it before the police arrived?
Yeah.
Okay, so it would have been between the time that you heard the shots, between the time that you heard the shots looking at the car, right? The Dodge drives away, and before you walk over to the vehicle to see the condition of
cops arrived.
You
I
what?
understand that. And it was only until the cops arrived that you walked up to the BMW. So I'm just trying to determine.
I'd be interested in what was even said in the conversation between him and X's mom. I really would be interested because this guy is dodgy as hell. XXX Tentacion is deceased, he's gone forever, right? And this guy, his uncle or father of his brother, stepdad, uncle, whatever. Yeah. It's dodgy.
Sir, give me a moment. That you sat there, made the phone call before walking up to the vehicle to see the condition of Mr. Hoffman. Is that correct?
I called Cleo before I go to the vehicle.
No further questions.
Like, honest to God, the guy, like, we go back to that very sketchy thing he said. Can we please do so? Big up whoever hit up like that. It's about, you know what, it's interesting. It's around
To the car, down to the car,
Roman
the shot
Street
around
Place.
the through the door that I come up to.
And while that was happening is when you heard the explosion, correct?
Judge, I'm gonna object acid answer.
Brother, I don't even understand. It's the lawyer. I'm going to object. He's asked the question several times. Oh, yeah, idiot. Your client, who was in the car with XXX Tentacion when he got popped, your client who knew X had a load of money on him, your client who you can't even ask if he knows the killers, your client right there is the reason he's had to ask it loads of times because he claims that he doesn't understand it or, you know, all of that. All of that suspicious stuff.
You can answer, sir. When you're looking at a BMW and you're looking at what you've just described, then going into the car, you're looking at it and you hear the explosion.
I should have went there at the car and that's the time I heard the explosion.
I'm sorry?
When they were in the car, I heard the explosion.
And you were looking at the car when you heard the explosion, correct?
I was looking down there at the car.
He was looking when the shot was fired. This is a guy who wouldn't call police or an ambulance because some random person told him not to. In his words. An honest person, if you don't know he exists.
Now, when Cleopatra Bernard called you and told you to go to the bank, did she make any mention of the fact that...
Oh, Lord, so he knew. Oh, look at the face on him. They're just... Look, man's hiding something in the body language. So Cleo had called him. He knew damn well they were going to the bank. He probably knew damn well there's a lot of money that was going to be in cash too. His body language and shit, peeps.
Her son was going to pick up $250,000.
And not 50,000, 250,000 is what we're hearing X had on him from the court.
No, sir, I didn't know about nothing, sir.
Did you know he was going to pick up cash at all?
I didn't know what I was going to do. Cleopatra called me.
Oh my lord, he didn't know what he was going to do or whatever. It's a bank.
I didn't know what he was going to do.
Right.
I heard the explosion.
I'm sorry?
When they were in the car, I heard the explosion.
And you were looking...
The shot around go through the...
It was prior to this, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the time I heard the explosion. When the
A
power
T-bit.
line go to X side, the shot around back inside the car as I was actually looking what's going on down there while I'm up there.
Okay, so... Forgive me if I'm wrong, but... Now you're saying
You
that you
skilled,
were looking
you know.
at the BMW when you heard the explosion, as opposed to looking at the phone when you heard the explosion. So which is...
So I was looking at the vehicle when I see the car back roll to the car, down to the car, the shot around go through the door that I come up through.
And
I think that was one of the key lies right there. Bear in mind, he's supposed to have ran off, right? So he's ran a little short way, distance away. He hasn't phoned an ambulance or police or whatever. Some unknown guy who's never come forward and is, you know, possibly invisible to the human eye, had told him not to call the police. And so, what was it at this point again? The man was, yeah, oh yeah, apparently what was it he said in the beginning? That he looked around when the shot was fired, or just like seconds before the shot was fired. I think it was like just before the shot was fired at XXX Tentacion. But now, you hear what he just says there, and you think he'd been watching for a while, right? Listen to this. From what he says here, you would think he must have been watching. He can't have just, you know, been dialing Cleo's number, X's mum's number. I mean, because at that point, he claims he wasn't looking at the vehicle. So, listen to what he says here.
Going in the vehicle. So, when I up there, when I was up there, the taller guy leave from my side and go on to X side. The shot that went through my door. And that you viewed that after you heard the explosion.
I think that's another lie there. Hold up.
Leave from my side going in the vehicle. So when I up there.
So up there.
When I was up there. The taller guy. From my side and go on to X side.
He's from my side. Went round to X's side and what? Go again.
When I was out there, the taller guy leave from my side and go around to X side.
The taller guy leave from my side and go around to X side.
The shot that went through my door.
And the shot did he say shotgun or the shot went through my door? Because on CCTV, people, in case you didn't know, this didn't even happen. This part that he's just said. We pulled him up as a team on TikTok about it. Like, there's a shitload of views and likes over on that. I think it's on Real Bar's account. It might not be, but it's been reposted there on the team account.
And that you viewed that after you heard the explosion. I hear the explosion while the taller guy went through.
So man's asking, you viewed that after you hear explosion?
On the X side.
And his answer is?
And that you viewed that after you heard the explosion. I hear the explosion while the taller guy went around the X side.
I hear an explosion while the taller guy went round to X's side. But at this point, mate, you're supposed to be looking at your phone, dialing Cleo after you ran off. And then you just look round and then the shot goes off. That's his story, so what the heck? He must have been watching the whole time, going by what he's just previously said, so his story's all over the place if you want to break it down properly. I don't believe that this guy is innocent. I believe that he set up XXXTentacion. Because why the lies from him? Why? Anyone? Comment section, anyone?
That's the time I hear the explosion. When the taller guy go to X side, the shot that went by inside the car as I was.
Hang on, how does he even see all of this if he's looking at his phone? Has he got eyes in the back of his head and all? Let him talk again, I'll tell you.
That's the time I hear the explosion. When the taller guy
moves to X side, the shorter one what inside the car? When the, right. So now when he hears this explosion or whatever, he's not even supposed to be looking at the car at this point, so how does he know that it's when the taller guy did this and the shorter guy did that? I don't understand. How, what's he going to claim? He's got eyes in the back of his head.
When the taller guy go to X side, the shot that went by inside the car as I was actually looking what's going on there while I'm up there.
Oh, to top it off, he was actually looking somewhere else. He's looking elsewhere. Huh. Well, mate, if you're looking elsewhere, how do you even... How are you claiming you saw what you've just said at the same time?
So, forgive me if I'm wrong, but now you're saying that you were looking at the BMW when you heard the explosion as a
No, I was saying, you're saying this and now you're saying da-da-da-da, like, this guy. Let me just go grab a tiny bit of chicken.
So I was looking at the vehicle when I see the taller guy run to the car, down to the car, the shot I want to go through the door that I come up through. And while that was happening is when you heard the explosions, correct?
Like, I'm gonna like ask and answer.
She knows that the guy's like looking gooey, man.
When you're looking at a BMW and you're looking at what you've just described,
He's
that
slipping up with the
car,
questions
you
and
actually-
everything.
You're looking at it and you hear the explosion.
I should have went there at the car, that's the time I knew the explosion.
I'm sorry?
When they were in the car, I knew the explosion.
And you were looking
When
at
they were in the car, he hears it exploding.
I was looking down there at the car, so.
Guy's guilty of something, man. His answers just scream that much.
Now,
One
did
second,
Tyler
peeps, I'm just
Bernard
grabbing some chicken here.
Did she make any mention of the fact that her son was gonna pick up $250,000?
No, sir, I didn't know about nothing, sir.
You know about the bank though?
I didn't know what I was going to do. You a bunch of calling. I didn't know what he was going to do.
So, after the shots are fired, right, after you see the shots fired, do you walk back to the vehicle or do you make that call to the Metro Bernard?
I go to the car. I went back down there. Everybody was getting there. And when the cops come, I go down there.
So are you the first person on the scene to walk up
He's
to the
part here
vehicle?
makes sense now, you know.
If I was the first person, I know I go down there when the cops arrive.
You were one of the first persons, correct?
I said I can't recall if I was the first person.
Okay.
I went there when the cops come in, and that's the time I go down there.
At that moment, was Mr. Onford deceased?
And now you don't even know what deceased means. I mean, come on, man.
You walked up to him, did you render first aid to him?
I did not touch. I did not. I just go by the car and then
Damn,
while the
what?
cops were there, and then so
You walked up to the car and looked while the cops were there?
the cops were there at the time.
Okay, so the first time that you walk up to the BMW, the police is already
Only
there.
piece of chicken here. It ain't actually. I figured it should be.
I said when the car, I go to the BMW when the cops were there, and that's the time I go down to the car.
Okay, so, since you were standing at the building.
Someone else ordered my chicken or no, so.
Looking at the vehicle.
Don't see my
I'm
little bucket
trying to help the jury determine how much time did it take for you to walk up to the vehicle to see the condition of Mr. Onford? Would it have been minutes?
When the cops come there, I can't recall the time that I go down there when the cops come there, so.
Okay. So you would agree with me that a significant time passed from the time that you heard the shots, standing there with your phone, to the time that you walked up to the vehicle, correct?
I don't know the time, I can't recall, I go there when the cops was there.
And sir,
This is
you have
sketchy, man.
the security personnel, do you know their names?
Objection as to relevance, Your Honor.
Once the police arrived, did you walk up to the vehicle, right?
Yes, sir.
Was there an individual there that was not police filming? Did you see that individual?
I don't know, I can't remember.
Okay. Do you recall the individual that you testified in direct examination that was a white guy that had asked Mr. Onford for a picture? Do you remember that individual?
It's a white guy was outside there, a little white guy sit outside.
Did you ever see him filming the BMW?
Alright, back in.
No, I
No,
don't know
I
if
didn't
he
try.
was filming. I didn't saw that.
From the time that you were looking at the vehicle and you heard the shots to the time that the police showed up, did you ever take your eyes off of the BMW?
Everyone still with us?
I can't remember that.
At what point did you finally come?
Okay, not everyone's still with us, but some.
Was it after the police arrived?
I called here before the police arrived, I'm telling you.
You called it before the police arrived?
Yeah.
And at the conclusion of this evidence,
You know, if this is a total rigged setup, right? Then that gang could have already planned that, you know, one person's going to go forward and, you know, tell the so-called truth, right? Because, well, they want people to think what he's saying is the truth, right? The one who goes forward.
you'll
I
find
don't
that
believe
Beecher
it's how it was
Williams,
said, you know?
Michael Boatwright, and Trayvon Newsom are guilty of first-degree murder
and guilty of armed robbery in this case.
The trial of 3 men for the murder of rapper XXX Tentacion is underway. We take a look at the top moments from the trial so far.
Top moments? Bit of a weird
I'm
way to put
Antoinette
it, no?
Levy, and welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. A group of men ran to his vehicle, shot him, and stole.
Yeah, but look at that. The uncle or brother, dad, stepdad, whatever is, or would it be stepdad? Or just had a kid with his mom guy. But he's also his uncle guy. He reckons that they came to his side.
His money. Now, nearly 5 years later, this trial has.
As y'all can see, they never, ever, ever went to his side of the car. It don't take a genius to work out. This guy's sketchy as hell. He's on the interview we just went through.
Begun. Prosecutor Pascal Achille gave a strong opening statement telling the jury they will see surveillance video that clearly shows Michael Boatwright shooting and killing XXX Tentacion.
Jose is there, unarmed, in the driver's seat, surprised by the 2 gunmen in this case. You'll hear how they start struggling with him, punching him, and that both of the gunmen at one point are trying to get his property from him. They're able to wrestle away from him the satchel that had the $50,000 in cash. And without any
I don't know why they
provocation,
said 250,000 at another point.
weapons, or
It would
anything
not surprise me if it was
being used on the victim,
250.
you'll hear how Michael Boatwright fires several times,
I mean,
killing.
who in the courtroom's making the mistake? Like y'all saw, it was 250,000 when they were asking the passenger dude, the uncle, stepdad, whatever the heck, and he didn't hold up the lawyer and say that's the wrong figure. So how much was it?
The victim at close range. You'll also be able to see the surveillance that shows this.
With 3 men on trial, they have 3 separate defense attorneys, so each attorney
This
gave
has
his
been,
own opening
you know,
statement. Michael Boatwright's attorney went
eye-opening.
first, and he claimed that Robert Allen,
There's
he's
so
the
many
man who
more
pleaded
people
guilty
involved
to
in X's
second-degree
death.
murder and is testifying for the state, will lie to the jury when he gets up on the stand.
Robert Allen is the only person that you will hear from that puts Michael Boatwright at Riva Motorsports on June 18th, 2018. And he has
one
a
of the
whole host of reasons to lie. In law school,
bro,
it's
I don't
just
think that
don't
Robert Allen's telling the whole
promise
truth,
something,
but
an opening statement that you can't deliver on during the trial. Well, let me be very clear.
but I
If
don't
Robert Allen
believe
testifies in
Robert
this
Lyons,
case,
Robert
he
Allen
will lie,
is.
and we will prove that he.
Trust me, I also believe that Robert Allen guy. I don't believe he told the whole truth. I think he was like the guy who's pretending to be the one telling the whole truth, so that people are likely to believe him and think, oh yeah, but he's telling the whole truth because he's the one who's willing to talk and yada yada. How do you know he ain't telling a load of BS? Throw you off the track kind of thing. Lawyer here thinks he's gonna lie, but this guy is trying to say Boatwright wasn't there. Basically, it's a bit odd.
Police ignored an extraordinary amount of evidence that Michael was not the killer, was not involved in this case.
Dedrick Williams' attorney Mauricio Padilla was up next, and he claims that law enforcement dropped the ball and did not
You know
investigate
what
this
them
case.
little tear tattoos mean, right? It's like taking lives. They like, you know, a tear for each life took.
Properly. He touches on the fact that Broward County Police had their backs up against the wall because of the Parkland school shooting that happened just 4 months prior to the homicide. He then says how the same detective from the Parkland school shooting
Yeah,
was
he
handed
feels-
XXX's case. He
Well,
points
that's
out that
true,
that
but-
detective and other investigators cut corners because they wanted to wrap this case up as quickly as possible Finally, Padilla goes on to say how law enforcement didn't look into the Grammy Award-winning rapper Drake.
Before X died, he said, if anybody kills me, it's Drake. And do you think that for one moment, here today...
Do you think he should have thought about his own family and those close to him?
Right? He came on social
Given the
media and
lies
said,
that we've
God,
discovered
if
today?
anybody kills me, it's Drake. Do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him, they talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later...
You think
any
the
detective
passenger who
ever asked,
lied is innocent?
you know, Drake or anybody like that? No. They never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? If any of us is involved in, you know, God forbid, in a murder, and you say, hey, it's so-and-so, you better believe so-and-so is going to get investigated. But in this case, they
Wait, who didn't get investigated?
They didn't do it.
Ah, Drake. Well, I mean, plenty of people, fans of X, I mean, what, at least 50% of them, or I'd say 100% of those who was with us the other night, when we did that live stream yesterday, that Drake's and Travis Scott's team have had, basically, it's pulled at the minute. I can get it back up, but I've got to take a section out. Everyone believed it was Drake. Everyone in the comments put that.
Because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
Finally, Trayvon Newsom's attorney gave his opening statement. He went last, and instead of pointing to evidence that will clear his client, he pointed to evidence and said what it will not show.
My opening statement and all opening statements are supposed to be about what the evidence will show. But in this case, I'm going to tell you what the evidence will not show. The evidence will not show that any firearm was ever recovered that could be matched or linked to Trayvon Newsom. The evidence will not show that anything from a thorough search of his home where he lived with his father and his sister, including digging up his entire backyard because they heard the money was buried there, turned up anything that was named Trayvon Newsom to this terrible crime.
Alright, well the police must have investigated a lot
The
if they're
evidence
digging
will
up his
not
yard.
show that Trayvon has ever made a statement of admission or any statement that would link him to this terrible crime to any third party or anyone else for that matter.
Okay, what, so he's innocent because he didn't admit
The
it?
evidence will show no DNA whatsoever found on the body of Mr. Onfroy or on that car. Although you see a tussle going on,
Well,
you see
he had
they
gloves
allege
on, right?
he goes around the car and gets actually into it. No DNA whatsoever linked to Trayvon Newsom. No fingerprints
Yeah,
linked
well,
to Trayvon Newsom.
you know, if it's an inside job, if this is a lot bigger, you know, because of the money that is left and the money that could be made off the death, don't think for 1 second corrupt cops don't exist. And other people there who could have, well, tampered with stuff, wiped out the car, cleaned whatever, or, you know, got results and binned them. But that is very odd. No DNA in the car. It's weird. But, mate, there's CCTV, there's, you know, the guy talking, there's X, Y, and Z. We know that he was involved for sure. The question here, who took the DNA out of the car? Who cleaned that up? Bigger question, right?
No cell phone evidence places Trayvon Newsom anywhere near that scene of the crime that day.
At the
No
time of the
cell
murder,
phone evidence
XXX
either.
was shopping for those motorcycles with
This
his
is so
uncle,
much
his
bigger.
step-uncle, actually, Leonard Kerr. Kerr took
Way
the stand
bigger.
and explained he was able to run away from the car when the shooters drew their guns on him and XXX. He's on surveillance video running away from the shooting. Kerr explained what he saw and heard minutes later.
Now, at the point that you're calling Cleo,
I do
had
not
anything
trust
else
him
happened
at all.
other than you exited the car for your life?
Video footage shows he was lying about, you know, having a gun pointed at him or whatever, then being on his side. It never happened.
So you left Jose in the car and the two gunmen were still there?
Yes, ma'am.
He lied in the courtroom. We know
See
that much.
anything that happened to Jose and the gunman after that?
Okay. Before, when I arrived here, the taller guy, as I tell you, the taller guy went running to Jesse's side. shorter one now come around to the door that I was, my door that I opened, and he could.
But no one went to his door. Have you not seen the footage? They jump out and they do not go to his door. He gets out and runs, but the shooters, they don't bloody go to your side.
Inside the car.
You saw that?
I see that because I was looking when I went up here and saw some some of the man that was on the phone. I keep looking down here. When I keep looking, I realize that the shorter one come around to my side. The taller one go to Justin's side.
Okay, so it's almost like, I'm sorry?
And then I heard something like, how much time I don't know, but I heard something like explosion.
An explosion?
Yeah.
Let's go back to Robert Allen. He's the man I just told.
Easily compare hotels to find your perfect somewhere.
Alright, what else we gonna break down
Download the
here?
Hotels.com app.
Justice for
Julian,
X.
who pleaded guilty to
There
second-degree
should be
murder
some,
and is
but there ain't
testifying
none
for
in
the
there, really.
state. On Wednesday, Allen took the stand and claimed that he and the 3 defendants robbed and killed XXX in the parking lot of the motorcycle dealership. He explained what happened over those 3
Yeah,
short
because
minutes.
these two are really over there.
Trayvon Newsom do after he grabs the bag.
As he grabbed the bag, shots were fired.
Judge, I'm gonna ask him to speak to the microphone.
As he grabbed the bag, shots are fired.
Who shoots the shots that are fired?
Michael Boatwright,
And who does he shoot?
Triple X,
Where does he shoot him from? What side of the car?
Garvey.
So if Triple X is in the driver's seat and Michael Boatwright is in the driver's side, the shots are coming onto Triple X's left side or right side? Which side?
Yes,
Okay. And what happens after, how many times do you recall that Michael Boatwright shoots Triple X?
maybe like 2 or 3 times.
What does Triple X do as a result of that? What does Michael Boatwright do next? What does Trayvon Newsom do?
Come out, slips and fall a little bit across the car.
What does Dietrich Williams do? Now, are all 4 of them back in the Dodge Journey?
Yes,
What does Dietrich Williams do?
drive home.
So Allen claims that Newsom grabbed the bag of money, Boatwright shot XXX, and Williams was the getaway driver as Allen was sitting in the car. The prosecution went on to show surveillance footage of the murder. So were the gunmen Newsom, Boatwright, and Williams, and will they be convicted for the murder of XXS Tentacion? That is the question here, so stay tuned to Sidebar to find out.
Right, they
as
was
we continue to
convicted.
cover the
They were convicted, you know. They are in jail, but I think everyone knows there's more people involved. Like, how could you not know? Would this come under... The killer calls out Drake in an appeal.
You are as guilty as they are because you were an essential part of that crime. When you went to spend that blood money on sneakers and jerseys, you revealed to the court the value you place on your life that was taken.
One of the men convicted in the 2018 murder of rapper XXX Tentacion is now appealing his conviction, and his legal team is focusing a lot of their attention on a major celebrity, Drake. We are going to explain the connections and the arguments as we sit down with Mauricio Padilla, the attorney for the convicted killer, Dedrick Devon Williams. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Dedrick Devon Williams, who's behind bars for life for murdering rapper XXX Tentacion, is now appealing his case, his conviction, his
Subscribe up,
sentence, on the
peeps,
grounds
because
that
he
he did
might
not receive a fair trial.
Take a
And
break,
this is in part
maybe,
due to what his attorneys say
and
is
then
the
come back.
exclusion of evidence that pointed the finger or maybe pointed the finger at other people. And And one of those people,
For sure
whose
other
name has
people
come
were
up,
involved,
is
absolutely
rapper
certain.
Drake.
How could
So, I
anyone
want to
not be?
quickly get you up to speed on this case before we get into these new allegations and new arguments. Maybe they're not necessarily new if you break down this case. So last year, 3 men, including Williams, were convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the 2018 killing of the star rapper. And to be more precise, they were convicted of first-degree murder and armed robbery in connection with the shooting death of the 20-year-old artist whose legal name was Jahseh Onfoy. Now, the jury deliberated a lot. They deliberated for a little more than 7 days before returning a guilty verdict. This was for Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom. Now, this murder occurred on June 18th, 2018, outside of Riva Motorsports. It's a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach. It's a suburb of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And XXXTentacion had just withdrawn $50,000 in cash from a bank. He was leaving the store with a friend when his BMW was blocked by an SUV. In fact, surveillance footage from the scene actually captures this shocking moment as 2 masked gunmen, later identified as Boatwright and Newsom, emerged from the vehicle, confronted the rapper at his driver's side window. There is a brief but very violent exchange with one of the men shooting XXX repeatedly. Afterwards, they snatch a Louis Vuitton bag containing the cash that the rapper had just withdrawn, and they speed away in the SUV. Williams was accused of being the driver of that SUV. And the friend, by the way, who was with XXXTentacion during that attack wasn't injured, but he witnessed the murder. And the jury's deliberation was lengthy, but ultimately they concluded that the evidence presented by the prosecution was sufficient. It was beyond a reasonable doubt, enough to convict all 3 defendants. And that evidence included the surveillance footage, it included cell phone videos of the defendants flashing cash right after the shooting, it included
So,
incriminating
Drake
text messages
has been accused
from Boatwright,
of being involved
including one right
by
after the shooting
the
saying,
shooter
"Tell my brother
of
I got money for the new
XXXTentacion
phone." And
in
then,
an appeal
just minutes after that,
recently
sending in a separate
launched.
text message a news article about XXX getting shot. And I also have to mention the key testimony of the
Right
trio's
here,
accomplice,
of course.
Richard Allen.
The
who
passenger
claimed that
lied
he
in
was a part of
court.
this robbery, and he
The
implicated the
passenger
defendants. He pled
is
guilty
uncle
to
and
second-degree
dad of
murder
his
for his
brother.
role in this killing. Hey, so before we jump into this story, I have something I gotta tell you about. I host an executive producer show
I'm
called
really
Slime.
not into the way you host, but yeah, same here. But we rolling and
Great. There's also other issues that they're bringing up, so I want to
need
get
to
into
get
it
a
right
bit
now.
hype
For
with
that,
this.
I want to bring on Williams defense attorney Mauricio Padilla. Thank you so much for coming on, Mauricio. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for coming on right afterwards.
Is this the
So
lawyer
I wanna
of the
talk
killer
about this
then?
with you, and we're going to get into more specifics of the appeal.
We
But
didn't
overall,
have
big
like, 5
picture,
reviews
big
or whatever in it.
what
We
are
do
you
like
and the
a
rest of the defense counsel
fresh
arguing?
video. But
Well,
subscribe,
I am not
realize
arguing. I'm
boss.
not his appellate attorney. I was the trial counsel, so I'm just
So that
referencing
when
what
we do that, you'll
Mr.
see.
Patanzo, which is his appellate attorney, has stated in the brief. There's so many errors that it takes a while to even break it down. One of the main errors in my opinion in the case, which I had to sit through, argue, and live it, was the fact that in December of 2020, I filed a witness list. The state's reaction to that was to file a motion saying, we want the court to strike all of his witnesses, that's not even something that's legal or that you could do. You have to itemize who you want stricken. You just can't shotgun approach and say, I want all
There's
of this
many things strange in the trial.
defense witnesses stricken, but the state attorney did that. In a hearing that I had to defend, myself in that motion, the court
How
didn't
did they
grant that,
strike
but the
all
court
of his
instructed me to
witnesses?
file a pleading, which was the nexus in my defense witnesses and what nexus they had to my theory of defense, which I argued was inappropriate because at the end of the day, you're ordering me to give the state a blueprint of what my defense is going to be. But
Sure.
I was ordered to do it, and I did it.
Whoa.
When prior to
But often enough you have to do that before cases,
Mr.
to be
Omford,
honest.
which I'll refer to him as X for this
like basically
for
submit
this
what you
interview because
come in
his
with.
stage name was XXXTentacion, which was the victim in this case. Prior to him being murdered, he had posted on Instagram, if anybody kills me, I'm snitching right now, it's champagne popping. I'm paraphrasing, but something to that effect, right? So, imagine, the decedent said prior to his death, if anybody kills me, it's Champagne Poppy, which is Drake's Instagram.
But look, a question in court that they couldn't ask the passenger, his uncle / father of his brother. Yeah, imagine that. He was not allowed to even, like, the lawyers couldn't even ask him if he knew the killers. Why can't you ask the passenger if he knows the killers? Why? What's being hidden? What if someone hopped on the fact that the Parkland shooting happened recently, thought, okay, they're doing all the work on that down at the local police department, XYZ, so they're not going to have time to investigate this very thoroughly. And that he said that if anyone does that, it's Drake. What if his own, the passenger who knew he was off to the bank, people much closer could have set this one up. They could have offed him for money. Like, follow the money is always a good thing to
Nate,
do.
I laid out in extreme detail all of my defense witnesses list, which included many rappers, because at the end of the day, the victim in this case was a rapper. He had feuds, ongoing public feuds with not only Drake, but a lot of rappers that are either signed to OVO or related to Drake in some way, including 600 Breezy, which is a Chicago-based rapper. And
last night we did go into songs, like I said, Drake and Travis's team have set it up so I have to take a part out of that video for it to go back up. Everyone in it thought Drake was behind it, though, after seeing those things that he
which
spoke
goes
on.
by the name of DJ Academics, because DJ Academics was friends with X and had posted long YouTube, content regarding this beef. He actually posted YouTube saying that he was on the phone with X discussing the issue and the beef that he had with Drake, and specifically, X had either said or posted something about Drake's mom, and he had posted a picture of a Drake lookalike with semen on his face, and he wanted DJ Academics to post it on his own site, and he said, "I'm not going to do that." And in that conversation, DJ Academics says that
one more to it.
You better be careful, because even though, and I'm paraphrasing again, even though he's not a gangster, you may be pushing him. As a reaction to that conversation, X goes and says that he takes it out off the post off of his website or off of IG, and he says that his Instagram was hacked. I laid that out in my motion to perpetuate testimony, which a motion to perpetuate testimony is when you have a witness that is relevant to your defense,
Okay,
and that
so
lives beyond the
a lot
jurisdictional
was not
limits
allowed in
of
the courtroom.
and that you feel that you're not going to be able to bring them into court. So I'm basically asking the court to allow me to go to California or wherever I have to go, depose this individual, and now with his deposition, if he doesn't show up, I could use it in my defense or in my case in chief, right? So I did that, argued it to the court, and the court, in a reaction, basically said, "I'm not going to grant your motion to perpetuate testimony, just take his depo. Let's just take it." So, okay, fine. I set a notice of hearing, went and served Drake in his castle in Beverly Hills.
There's something that you mentioned, and I want to talk about this. So first of all,
Drake got
there was
served?
this deposition that was taken of
What?
XXX
So
Tentacion's mother,
Drake,
Cleopatra
what, just
Bernard.
refused to
She
go court?
testified that Onfroy had this ongoing feud with Mr. Graham Aubrey.
I didn't know that Drake, had been, served by this guy and was, told to go to court, but just chose not to, kind of thing.
Graham Drake. She said this feud with Graham included throwing shots at Onfroy and lyrics from one of Graham's songs. You mentioned
There's
that
been shots thrown
controversial
since.
Statement that he made, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was champagne
Why
poppy."
keep shooting
The
if you know
the
that
question I want to
dead?
start with as we get into the Drake conversation, are you were you arguing, or is appellate attorneys arguing that Drake was a part of this killing, that he was the one who did this, or are you arguing that it should have just been allowed, you should have been allowed to present evidence to suggest there were other potential leads that law enforcement really didn't look at into this case? Again, what are exactly we suggesting? Are you suggesting that Drake had a part in it, or that just it wasn't looked into and it shows a sloppy investigation and not a fair trial?
Well, in the brief, and in what I was arguing in court is the latter. We are a defendant has every right to
The latter.
defend himself
So-
and to show reasonable doubt wherever
Okay.
it may be.
The lawyer is basically saying that, the court case was a bit shabby and that they couldn't do X, Y, and Z and that it was rigged up a bit. Saying it went against them, but he's not saying Drake did it then. Not actively saying that.
And to fully investigate and articulate to a jury an alternate shooter defense or an alternate, a defense where someone else, committed this crime.
But they could be behind it, and it could still be those
Drake
guys
was holding
who,
a gun and
done
but
it.
the facts as they are stated by X's own mother is that she knew
We
about
don't
the
even
about
know
the beef with
if she's innocent.
Drake and with Migos. She
We
knew
don't.
about the violence between Migos and her son, where there was a violent episode. She knew about 600 Breezy, which is a known admitted gang member from Chicago, going to South Florida and posting on social media saying that he's blinked up, which means that I have a gun, and she was concerned about it. She testified in the depot that she discussed it with her son. She testified that the reason that she wanted additional security with him the day he died was because of this beef
Why
with
didn't he
Migos
have it?
and everything that we're discussing. So it was relevant, and for many months during the trial, January, February, even February 7th of 2023, the judge is agreeing with me. Okay, now there comes a moment and a
On
hearing.
what specifically?
He goes ahead and Drake hires after the judge enters a rule of show cause, basically saying a purge date. You have to appear for depot on this day, or I'm going to do a writ of bodily attachment. He then goes and hires Brad Cohen, a friend of the show, friend of mine as well, an excellent attorney, and Brad files several motions, motion to quash the subpoena, and he files a motion for protective order. We go back and forth, and the judge says, and the first time that Brad shows up to court, he says, you know what, I'm gonna quash the rules of cause.
Claim back all you deserve.
Alright, that's intriguing, man.
With smart categorization, we'll
I'll
help you.
explain why.
He's hired counsel.
Boom. They're all very much linked then. They're all very much friends with, blossoming channel that speaks on law. I mean, yeah. And there's a lot of names being thrown around from this lawyer, right?
You guys can communicate and figure out when this step was gonna happen, okay? So we go back and forth, we can't agree to it for various reasons, and I'm not gonna get into settlement negotiations on the show, but we can't agree.
Settlement?
We go into court
What
February 24th,
settlement?
I believe. We go back and forth, we can't agree to it for various reasons, and I'm not gonna get into settlement negotiations on the show, but we
Did
can't.
he say shush, 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 shush? So there was a settlement that what? Made sure Drake didn't go there? A deal? What is going on?
Agreed. We go into court February 24th, I believe, on his motions. At that time, James Beard, which is the process server that served Drake, appeared as a witness, and I wanted to show video that he took of the actual attempted service, where it shows Drake's bodyguards or the people that are in front of his house refusing to cooperate. It showed one of Drake's employees kicking the subpoena down the road that leads to his mansion. And the judge didn't allow me to show that. Despite not allowing me to put forth that evidence, the judge did a 180 from telling me to.
But bro, this case, it's Drake's not the one in court. You just said there was a settlement, so maybe that's why you couldn't show it, because of a settlement. But this goes a bit, I guess a bit wonky and industry linked, money linked.
Figure it out, coordinated, take the devil, did a 180, told me, why are you involving him? Granted the motion for protective order, granted the motion to quash my subpoena, allowed Mr. Cohen to argue California law without having a California expert there, and basically kind of chastised me about, why are you bringing them into it? And as a matter of fact, he even we had taken the deposition of one of X's relatives regarding this beef, and she denied it. And the court said in open court, even his relative said that it didn't exist. And I said, yeah, well, she's lying because the whole world knows about this beef. So for her to sit here and say that she didn't know about it it's on her credibility.
Right. Not everybody in the world even knew at the time who XXXTentacion was. So, an ex of his, maybe because of, I don't know, being beaten by him, maybe she just didn't want to look him up ever, and genuinely might not have known. The whole world did not know. Not everyone knew who X was for a start, before he passed. So, how are you gonna say that the whole world knew about a beef with Drake?
So, despite all of this, he does a 180. He not only grants the motion for protective order, basically saying that I can now serve him again.
Okay.
And it quashes the subpoena, but the state attorney, sensing there's
You
blood
said
in
there
the
was a
water,
settlement.
says, Judge, I'm going to renew my motion to strike all his witnesses. Okay? Or tennis, no notice. And he says, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to strike Mr. Graham. So he struck in the middle of the trial. He struck Drake from my witness list, which is completely inappropriate, considering the history of the case.
Talk to me real quick
Well,
about why you think the judge did this, because
So
in
the man,
appellate
him,
brief,
lawyer
correct me if
there,
I'm
said
wrong,
there was a
there is an
settlement,
accusation
sort of
that
got told to
the
shush
court
and
might have
interrupted
been
straight away,
biased
but
because of Drake's celebrity status. Correct me if that
if they had a
allegation is
settlement,
wrong. And in your opinion,
maybe
why
they've
do you
settled,
believe
so
the
that
court
Drake
ultimately
wouldn't
wouldn't
go.
allow the deposition of Drake?
I'll say that Judge Usan was a complete gentleman to me, and it was a pleasure to try the case in front of him. I do think that he can made various reversals.
For those who just come in, basically, the killer of XXXTentacion, convicted of, his lawyer is an appeal for him. They're saying that the court case, they weren't fit, there was problems, there was stuff not looked at, and that Drake, should have been looked into more heavily.
Errors, and I think from the beginning he made a lot of calls that were unconstitutional, not legal. This being one of them. I don't want to speculate as to why, but when you're dealing with someone like Drake, which he's not a celebrity, he's a super celebrity. He's like in the stratosphere of fame. So when a judge does a 180 like that, I'll let the viewers or other people figure out why they think that it happened, but I'm not gonna speculate as to why it happened. But
You said something of a settlement.
I do want to ask you about this, because this is another part of the appeal. And that is with respect to the testimony of this gang expert, which was excluded in a pretrial hearing. And the defense, my understanding, wanted to call Jesse Dela Cruz, who they had claimed, discovered visual evidence that Drake could have had ties to the same organization as a co-defendant in this case, Robert Allen. And I believe the brief states, Dr. Cruz's research revealed photos of Mr. Graham throwing this...
Okay, what? So Drake throwing up the same gang signs as Robert Allen, who's an interesting one because he's the one who came forward and talked. Could have been a tactic to make y'all think that he was definitely telling the truth, because he's the one who, out of the group, who was talking. He might have come forward and told lies. So he's the one with connections to Drake. Apparently. Allegedly.
Same gang signs as Allen, and Allen is that accomplice who I mentioned before who testified against his
And he's also the only one who spoke about Drake in the case.
People who knew
You know what I
Drake
mean?
were allegedly seen in XXXTentacion's
And he's the
neighborhood
one
threatening
who
him
stood up and
before he
said
died.
Drake
The
did
brief
not.
reads, social media posts showed these same known Graham associates were seen in Onfroy's neighborhood threatening him just prior to the murder. And then they say even more revealing.
Say what?
The social media posts.
Social media posts showed the same known associates of Drake seen in Jose XXXTentacion's neighborhood, threatening him just before the murder.
Showed these same known Graham associates were seen in Onfroy's neighborhood threatening him just prior to the murder. And then they say even more revealing is this connection that Cruz made to Drake's song lyrics, because shortly after XXX
There's
was
been
killed.
a lot of lyrics.
The brief writes, Mr. Graham released a song entitled Triple X with suspicious lyrics. SMS Triple X, that's the only time I shot below the neck.
Shoot on sight, triple X. Shoot on sight, XXX, the only time I shot below the neck. Okay. And another connection between the murder and Drake's lyrics and the song I'm Upset. Well, here last night, on a live, you'll know. We found and exposed millions of connections. And everyone in the comments, well, felt Drake is behind the whole thing. Everyone in the comments thought that. I'm not saying it's my own opinion, but you know. So, what do they really quote here? Oh, Louis bags for body bags. If y'all can't break that one down, X had a Louis Vuitton bag full of cash. You take the Louis bag in exchange and you give him a body bag, you give him... Yes.
And Dr. Cruz found another connection between the murder and Drake's
There's
lyrics in the
millions
song
in
I'm Upset.
to be
The
honest.
song I'm Upset contains lyrics regarding Louis bags for
There's
body
also,
bags.
you know, there was
Indication there being that Drake was
heavily
referencing
rumored that
murder.
X put
But
money on
ultimately,
Drake's
Cruz
head.
was completely excluded from the trial, and the jury did not hear any of his findings. Mauricio,
You know,
I have that right.
and I'm
Can
upset.
Can you emphasize that a little bit more?
One
Can
of the
you explain
lyrics
that a little bit
there,
more?
Yes, okay, so
is about having
Dr. De La
money
Cruz
put on
did
his head.
proffer to the court everything that you've stated regarding the song lyrics, the fact that Drake was throwing gang signs that were the same gang signs that Allen was throwing up in different social media posts. The court strikes Dr. De La Cruz, which is a known gang expert and well known in his field, has testified over 150 times in trials.
Right,
They
okay,
allowed
we get
the
it.
state to put their own gang expert, Detective Polo,
And you
which
couldn't put
which
your
really
gang expert
bolstered
forward.
a lot of what Dr. De La Cruz said regarding the necessity to bring out this testimony. I don't believe that it, based on Dauber, which is the case that we look at when analyzing whether an expert is if it's appropriate for an expert to testify. I don't believe that was a legal call. I think it was error for him to do that and not allow us to put forth that testimony. And we put up pictures of Drake with Lil Wayne throwing up a Bloods gang sign and other evidence that Drake is out there flaunting gang ties. We put forth evidence of Hassan Ali, which is top 5 out there openly claiming on social media and video that he's Drake's shooter. And part of the theory of defense is to show, listen, even though these people are entertainers, okay, there's a gang related portion of it. There's a gang related side to it. And X's own mother testified that she knew about this, that she knew about when 600 Breezy traveled from wherever he was, whether it's Chicago to South Florida. She knew about it. She talked to him about it. So this case has more than knew about when 600 Breezy traveled from wherever he was, whether it's Chicago to South Florida. She knew about it. She talked to him
Okay, what is this promo for 600 Breezy?
about it. So this case has more than ample evidence and ample reason
I'm not
to
sure clear
involve
knowing
a
that
gang
is
expert.
involved.
To be clear,
like,
though,
you know,
were
that's
allowed
just
to argue that someone
next-ish.
else could have been responsible for this killing because you questioned, cross-examined Allen on cross-examination, suggesting that he had this link to Drake. But my understanding is you're arguing now that the trial court had put limits on your cross-examination of Allen.
Yeah,
that
so you can't have
violated
been that
the
limited.
client's rights. Am I misunderstanding that?
No, you're 100% correct. And they did it not only with Allen, but they did it all throughout the trial.
Okay.
Yo, shout out yourself. Is it Money Edits? Yo, this is from the XXX Tentacion case, right? Basically, the killer, the main shooter, his lawyer is saying that he wants, to take it back to court because, yeah, he's calling out Drake in the appeal. He's saying, like, that he should have been allowed to have Drake there to interrogate him in court. He's saying that, there's connections. Robert Allen, the guy who spoke, him not shown on the screen, the one who, actually talked in court and admitted whatever, the killing, he was connected with Drake. They were throwing up the same gang signs and matches with the Drake feature on Sicko Mode, kind of. Yeah, bro, that video it's not exactly well, it's down at the minute because I have to take out all of the audio, all of what we were saying at the point of sicko mode, literally. That's the only thing in regards to, because I got rights from UMG and rights from other people, right? With that, someone on Drake's team or Travis Scott's team has a problem with it, and with what's shown on screen too. So I have to clip that out of it, then it can go public, but not until then. Anyway, they're saying about also just a lot of connections between Robert Allen, the one who talked in the XXX Tentacion case, and his connections with Drake. The thing is, imagine if this dude only spoke out in the courtroom to make it look like what he was saying is the truth, you know? He's the only one talking and yada yada, so people are supposed to automatically think what he said is true. And he was asked about Drake in that court. And he said no, you know, that there was no connection, yada yada. Well, what if what they're saying about his connections with Drake is all true? That's right.
Allen admitted that his
I'll tell you
father...
one thing that you probably missed us cover, right? The passenger, you know, the uncle, step uncle, or father of the little brother of X. Might as well call him a stepdad. Yeah, he lied in court. We prove it. I proved it here. Shown the video and the lie. So yeah, and I'm just suspicious as hell about that guy. That passenger dude, he's wouldn't surprise me if he was involved in a deeper way.
Dealer, known firearms dealer, as the brief states, produced at least one of the guns that was used in this. When I asked him about his father and ties to Toronto and drug dealing, the state objected, and the judge.
Wait, who do you ask about ties? I don't get it. Who do you
ask? That question. When I Allen admitted that his father, known drug dealer, known firearms dealer, as the brief states, produced at least one of...
Okay. Robert Allen's dad has gang ties in Toronto, in Drake City, and what, makes guns?
Guns that was used in this. When I asked him about his father and ties to Toronto and drug dealing, the state objected, and the judge didn't allow that question. So it was a constant battle for me to...
You know, another question that wasn't allowed is for the state, the prosecution, to ask the passenger, you know, who was sat with X in the car, who knew he was going to the bank, known about the money, and could have easily just, you know, text someone. He knew where they were, he knew everything, innit? And lied in court, as we exposed it tonight. Yeah, they weren't allowed to even ask him if he knows the killers. You know what that says to me when a court shuts down that kind of question? It tells me there was a connection there. So Drake's uncle / father of his brother most likely knows the killers. Why else was that question not allowed to be asked in court?
And basically do my job and show where reasonable doubt existed. With Allen, with Detective Curcio, the problem here is also that the state attorney, on direct of Detective Curcio, which was the lead detective in the case, she asked, "Do you have any information that Drake was involved in this?" And that was before the court struck him. So whatever the reasons may have existed, the moment that state
this
attorney
guy,
opens up their mouth,
him right there, he was shushed up the minute he mentioned that there was a settlement. I mean, what kind of settlement? Between you and Drake? What, you got paid money or what? What kind of settlement? Is that why Drake didn't have to go to the courtroom? Also, another thing that's sketchy is, oh my god, it's like the industry. You know how your upper echelons, top of the pyramid, are all kind of connected, right? Too many people know each other, from music industry to lawyers to people on YouTube platforms, like so, you know, media, lawyers, music industry. I mean, this guy's even made it clear that he's friends with the channel, this channel here, not this one, Realize Bars, but Sidebar. He's friends with that channel, as are, who is he friends with as well? TMZ, or Court. Something like that. They all got connections. It
says that. Now he's really at issue because now
You're opening the door. You're opening the door to that coming in.
Yes. And not only was it an issue of her mentioning it with Detective Curcio, but she asked him, you actually were able to verify whether or not Drake was in South Florida at the time. So in cross-examination, I asked, why would you have to verify if he was in South Florida? Why? Because he's a person of interest. And then I had to further ask, well, what did you do to, and I'm paraphrasing, what did you do to figure out whether he was in South Florida? He says, oh, my partner checked social media. So then I said, okay, so in a homicide case, the best that Broward Sheriff's Office has for a jury is to peep his Instagram. So it was basically breaking down the poor job that BSO did in their investigation and the tunnel vision that they had, and the fact that none of this was in the report. So you felt it important enough to check and verify whether or not he was in South Florida, but you never memorialized it in your report, and I'm not allowed to ask about it.
Well, did he also testify that Detective Curcio that
but that stream's going back up, the one from yesterday. I just need to take out both visuals,
right? This is the rap group
and
associated
audio.
with Drake. Was that
From
came
when
in?
Sicko Mode was
again,
running.
you weren't able to expand upon that.
Not only did that come in, but when I asked him in cross-examination, isn't it true that the first time that the name Migos comes out in this case was a month after the murder in the first conversation that you yourself had with the cooperating co-defendant Allen? He didn't remember, had to refresh his recollection, and right there in the transcribed conversation, it basically showed that Allen, the cooperator, said the name Migos in the first conversation that they had. So it basically showed that I wasn't making this up. Like, I'm not creating it. The facts were there.
About
Before
what,
I
though?
even ever alleged their involvement or filed a motion in court, they're checking to see whether or not Drake is in South Florida. That was years before I mentioned it. And Allen is saying is talking about Migos to the lead detective a month after the murder. This is years before I filed anything regarding my theory of defense. So it was just to show that this is part of the case.
Like, dumbass, you can't fucking talk on this. How could you have done it before? You had to wait for your client to have been sentenced to talk on this or to file an appeal.
Right. And the argument is that your client didn't get a fair shake, didn't get a fair trial because you couldn't expand upon this and introduce this. I want to quickly pass Drake and ask you a couple different questions about this appeal. Speaking about Detective Curcio, I understand that there's also an objection that your team has with him providing opinion testimony on cell phone data. Can you talk about that real quick, what the issue was with Detective Curcio there?
Okay, well, the issue is that Broward County did not list a forensic expert, okay? And they tried to put forth expert testimony through someone by the name of Campani and through Detective Curcio. And the court allowed them to give expert opinion as to locations of cell phones and things that are specifically left to experts because when you list somebody
Drake
as
looked
an
like
expert,
Harvey Price
it
in
then
that
opens
last
up
shot.
the doors to discovery that we can take depositions of them and put us on notice to the specific details that they're going to testify to as an expert. That didn't happen in this case. And what they allowed was this individual named.
We're gonna move off the lawyer talk in a second. Who's on that? Moni, what do you say? Everyone real crazy, my buddy crazy.
Like a visual aid that he had prepared a week prior to his testimony. Okay, we were ambushed with it.
Like, cause this dude, he is going around the houses, right?
Where he testified.
Like, he's literally going around the damn houses. I don't know if he's trying to slyly promote his damn lawyer brand. Who the hell knows, you know? Like, new testimony in the murder shows video from him.
New phones. CBS cell phones before.
The first video that we're going to discuss, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury the date and time that you perceived it to have been recorded?
That was the date of the homicide at 5:29 p.m.
It shows Williams fanning $100 bills and surrounded by money. And this video taken at 12:35 a.m. This time Williams appears.
Also in the court at one point, it's literally said and not tested either. When the guy is talking to the passenger, you know, Mr. Suspect as fuck. Yeah, it said it was 250,000. But at other times, 50.
In a car, also fanning $100 bills, smiling and singing.
That's a lot of
And in a
$100
third
bills.
video in his bedroom, this time with a torch. The defense tried to cast doubt on what the jurors were seeing.
Whether it's even real, correct?
XXX was carrying $50,000 in cash in a Louis Vuitton satchel when he was murdered, money he obtained from a Coconut Creek bank. Prosecutors say he planned to use the money to buy a motorbike from the shop and made the case that the money in the cell phone video is from the robbery and murder. Detectives say the group shot and killed XXX outside a Broward County motorbike shop on June 18, 2018. Detectives arrested Dietrich Williams, Robert Allen, Trayvon
Mommy,
Houston,
still
and
in the
Michael Boatwright for the murder. But only Allen pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and is a witness in the case. The others are going to trial. And if convicted, each of the men could be sentenced to life in prison. Live in the newsroom, Naja Sherman, CBS 4 News Tonight.
The one place to boot, any place.
Alright. Okay, so Baboom. Taking a reduced sentence, yada yada. You what?
Are you currently
for the
part
white
of
man?
the transport team that is responsible for
Hey, big up, Moni.
an inmate by the name of Robert Allen?
I ain't
who's also been
crazy.
listed as a
I
state
realize
witness
bars, but
in the
obviously
case
ain't
of
under that.
state of Florida
That's
versus 3 co-defendants for the homicide of Jose Ancoy.
And whoever else is still up with us.
Have you been with Mr. Allen since, I believe it was Monday, as part of his transport team, to assist in getting him here for trial?
Yes.
Okay. Is there an incident that
This is
happened
working for the
to
white
get
man.
one of the co-defendants
That is the procedure.
that were in the holding area?
Yo, let's say we roll to the occult,
Through the cracks,
you
yes,
know,
of the door, through the cracks. And how
They're not very solid.
the analysis of the
how do you know
occult
Mr.
shit.
Newsom is the person that made these statements? How many people were in the
Literally.
holding cell?
Give me 1 sec.
How about some?
We definitely should roll.
Okay, and how do you know that?
Move on with move on with the thing. Rapper XXXTentacion was tracked and targeted.
Well, we have new information in the killing of rapper XXXTentacion. Florida detectives now saying that the rapper was targeted and was being tracked in his final moments before the shooting.
Well, or it could just be the passenger told everyone where he was.
Triple X was known to have feuds with several other rappers. He was knocked out on stage, you may recall, at the observatory in North Park last year. See the cell phone video here. It resulted in an all-out brawl.
Yeah, those things obviously happened, but tracked and targeted. Well, I think we know who's targeted, given he was killed. But tracked? In what way? That guy's sketchy as hell. What's the passenger? Hang on, but we watched. We've seen that dude. He lies. He lies a lot.
Jesse is at the bar. That's where we're gonna meet him.
Now, if we pull up and go out to.
Meet me there. And wait until Jesse come. And Jesse.
Ja and the occult.
Drive up.
I mean, yo, Mo, do you actually, like, do you know of the bad things that, you know, that X did? Like, I'm curious. Like, you know, with beating this woman, holding her in the water, all of that. And anyone else as well, like, I'm curious.
Now seriously, she was beaten up so badly that she even started a GoFundMe
Not that much.
trying to raise money for oral surgery because
She was
had
trying to raise money for eye surgery.
The GoFundMe that was taken down because X's fans began to harass her and GoFundMe, saying she misrepresented the cause of her injuries.
That is savage, though. A lot of X fans literally harassing the hell out of her, so she has to pull down a GoFundMe trying to raise money to fix her eye injury. I know a lot of XXXTentacion fans did not believe her at all. Well, I guess because some of us are guilty of worshipping celebrities as idols. A lot of people do it. a lot of people. But, you know, Monique, I just know that he fought a man and took a pic of his face being real messed up. Now, I'm on about, what, you mean the girl? In reference to X's ex. Disappointing to know. Are we back running? Yeah, I'm trying to work this one out, right? Okay. Alright. Hold on. Alright, so back to the XXXTentacion.
Would end up homeless. And so, after being held captive at this property for 2 days
or am I
with no
supposed
medical treatment, Geneva fortunately found an opportunity to flee. On October the 8th, when X was in the house,
I don't know if we should run a separate one or what, but
Geneva told X that she was going to the kitchen to make him some food. Slipping out of the room, pulling open a refrigerator door, tucking herself behind it, and crawling out without him noticing.
peeps, I say we start a separate one, right? So, yeah, Moni, everyone, we're gonna start up a separate one. Subscribe, Realize Bars, REALEYESBARS, or something like that. We start a separate one. Yeah, we're running then. That clicked on the phone there. Alright, I can lock out on there. Alright, we're starting up a separate one any second. I'll see you guys there. Peace, love, respect. Boom. See you in 2 minutes. Should we have like, what, 3-minute break, 4-minute? Either way, Realize Bars, subscribe. We're back in a few minutes. Peace, love, respect, all that good stuff. See you in 5. That sounded so weird, but